There is nothing worse than waking up and feeling like $1,000,000 and then waking up the next morning and being sick. If you can't go into the gym and train until your nose bleeds, okay, it's over. Go home.
Ziegler monster.
I'm looking at pictures of Jay Cutler. I'm looking at Ronnie like that. I'm watching Lee Priesty, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, me too. Take the whole year off and just practice the bodybuilding fundamentals and add in steroids and see where we go. I'll text my dad my numbers every day. I'm like, what's up, Dad? You know, today I got 9,500 calories. And because of that, though, I was eating awfully. Dude, I would eat 500, 600 grams of sugar in a day. I was such a better athlete. I was such a better businessman. I was so much better at everything using ganja, which is not the typical way. The very best thing that ever could have happened was steroids were never invented.
So if you don't mind me asking though, when did you start using marijuana for like helping with your anxiety?
Oh, 15, 16.
Oh shit.
I've been like daily user for like 20 years.
Oh damn.
My entire
that's
bodybuilding
crazy.
career has been
Holy
marijuana
shit.
with it.
That's kind of sick to see that like it works so well with you though on a regular basis.
Yeah, it wasn't like that at first. I mean, you can record. I don't mind talking about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's legal now. I have a license for it.
Yeah.
I had a license for it before it was legal in Vegas, and that was awesome. And then they made it recreational, and the prices like quadrupled. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, that's fine. At least we can all get it now.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, you got started like 15, 16 years old, and then what were you gonna say? It wasn't always like that? How come?
No. Well, when I first started, I just had anxiety as a teenager, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why I would go through these mental patterns of feeling like I was jumping out of my skin. Like I felt like I don't know how to describe it. I felt like I needed to be somewhere else, and where I was constricting me so much that it was almost blinding everything else. Like I couldn't see opportunities. All I could see was like, I am stuck here and I don't like it. Like I want to be better at playing basketball. I want to be better at playing sports in general. I want to be better at school. I want to have a better relationship with my girl. Like, I don't know why, but like for some reason when I was young, those things were really on my mind. Not so much the future. I didn't really think about what the future was going to hold. It was all just like, I had this feeling that I wasn't where I was supposed to be, if that makes sense. And in the beginning, I started smoking recreationally because my buddy did. And I started smoking with him, and I would just get so high that there was no like medication involved. I was just freaking stoned. Yeah, I was just like a little kid, like falling asleep on the couch and like not being able to move, like 16 years old. And I was just, in the moon. And then smoked with my buddies, and it just became like a regular thing. So they were moving it, so it was always available, and we would just smoke. And none of us were really working. Well, I was working out, but I was working out for sports because I started training when I was 14. Mm-hmm. So, are we rocking and rolling right now?
Yeah.
Just doing the thing?
Yeah.
No, I
yeah.
like it. This is very comfortable.
Good.
Great stuff.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah, dude. It's great.
But in regards to, I guess, how it affects you, I guess I'm so surprised because there's just, I see literally a wide variety of variances in how people respond to weed, you know?
Sure.
And it's just fucking
Yeah,
so
all
different.
over the board.
All over the board, right. And like for some men will like respond with an increase in prolactin, whereas other men won't, right? And same kind of way where like you take some test, take some gear or something, you might respond with estrogenic side effects more than somebody else.
Absolutely.
So same thing with prolactin, and like say that you're like a bodybuilder and you have those issues, and then you add that weed on top of like trend, and then your prolactin just skyrockets. Like the propensity of having like gynecomastia and then also inducing yourself with side effects that are related to increased prolactin is just like so astronomical. And then you have to like worry about getting like taking like P5P and like Caber and all this stuff. And
I got GYNA.
You got GYNA?
I had it. Yeah, I got it. I got it from Diana Ball.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where
really?
I got it from. So it was early on in my career. I was about 22, 23, because that's when I started actually trying stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I started training at 14, 2004. I was 17. I got serious about bodybuilding. I was like, I want to be Mr. Olympia when I was 17.
Hell yeah.
Got totally obsessed. Everything. It was like all I could eat, breathe, sleep, think about. I was so obsessed. I didn't care about anything. No plans really except this one direction. Mm-hmm. And then 17, I got serious about competitive bodybuilding. 19, I did my first competition. So then 19, I started competing. 19, 20, I was 21. I took that year off. And then when I was 22, from competing, I was still training. When I was 22, I started using stuff. And then 23, I came back to the stage. So when I started, I was natural, and I competed at natural events. And I competed in NABA, and started when I was 19, did 4 or 5 NABA shows, got second and third in the men's open, won all the teen divisions, won the Grand Prix, did great. Went to NABA Nationals, won the teen division. Awesome. I think I got third in men's open. I was like, dude, this is great for me. Then it was 2011. I went to my first NPC show. And I showed up like 205 pounds, 204 pounds, shredded, not a bad look, but everyone was not like me. You know, they were all
juiced to the gills.
Oh, dude. I saw veins I had never seen before on people. I saw density and size I've never seen on people before. I was overwhelmed. I felt dumb. I had from 17, because when I was 17, I got obsessed, right? So I consumed literally everything I could. I would stay up all night watching YouTube videos. I'd be like, the longer the better. Cover to cover flex, cover to cover muscle development, the Encyclopedia Bodybuilding, the Anabolic Almanac, like all of Tom Platt's books, all of Mike's books, you know, just everything I could consume. I went nuts. So like most guys, you know, I thought I knew everything and I was the best. And I was just like, well, let me help you with this. And if you had your form here and you put your back, just talking and talking and talking. And then I went to that show, that NPC show, got backstage with the boys, the real boys. And I was like, maybe everyone is better at this than me. And I need to just go back to the drawing boards and relook at everything. And that's what I did. I left the NPC show. I got 9th out of 11 guys. Looked okay. All the abs were there. I was shredded, but just 204 pounds or so. Took 2000. So that was 2011. Took 2012 totally off. Started juicing. Started doing more, like started reading books.
Wait, what do you mean by totally off? Totally off of competing.
Right. I was like, I'm going to take the whole year off and just practice the bodybuilding fundamentals and add in steroids and see where we go. So I took that entire year off, got up to like 270, 275. I was blown away, dude. I had like a 16-month off season.
Wait, what?
Yo.
Wait, you said last prep, what were you again? 200?
205,
205, and then you blew up to
270, 275.
Sick.
Yeah. Depending on how much food was in my guts and fluid, right? But I could end the day and hit 279.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, like I was full of food and water and all that jazz. Yeah. And then, you know, wake up 10 pounds later and shove it all back in.
Holy shit.
I used to eat so much.
How did you feel?
Awful.
You're fucking awful.
Well, I felt huge. I was closing in 405 for 9 reps, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I was a tank, 22 years old, 23, turning 23.
Damn, bro.
Like crushing it, you know, having a great time, eating so. Like, I would feel bad if I ate under 8,000 calories. I would text my dad my numbers every day. I'd be like, what's up, Dad? You know, today I got 9,500 calories, you know. And if I ate less than 8,000, I would feel guilty about it. I put a note in my book, you know, and shit, like, messed up today. Got to eat more. And because of that, though, I was eating awfully. Dude, I would eat 500, 600 grams of sugar in a day. You know, because I was just eating 350 to 450 grams of protein a day. And then the carbs were in excess of 1,000, 1,500 at times.
Oh my God.
A third of those were just straight sugar, just straight out bags of candy, a gallon of milk every day, a gallon of V8 Fusion every day, a gallon of sweet tea every day. I didn't know.
Jesus.
I just was trying to get as big as I could.
You weren't on insulin yet, were you?
No, just
1,500 grams of carbs. Holy shit!
And test.
Holy shit!
You know, we were on taking tests and Diana Ball. Yeah, and then I started, and then
that's crazy.
And I'm looking at pictures of Jay Cutler with the big moon face, looking like he's 400 pounds. I'm looking at Ronnie like that. I'm watching Lee Priesty, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, me too. Let's go. Yeah, okay. You're benching 400 pounds.
Enough,
I'm benching 400 pounds. You're eating 10,000 calories. I am too. Months have gone by. Me too. You got a stack. Me too. What's going on? And I didn't look good. I looked bad. It was like a 275, pudgy as fuck. Not a good look. Huge as a house in clothes. I looked, in clothes I was cool, but my face was like a freaking moon. I got it all. And not only that, and then I started having like the gynecomastia side effects. Oh my gosh, I didn't know. So Nolvadex was like the thing back then, right? Like no one really uses Nolvadex too much anymore. Some guys, the old school guys do, but you know, there's better things, right? Guys use like Letrozole or Emidex. I think there's one called like Exmestane or something like that. There's just different options. You know, that's old school. But most of my cycles were like derived from the guys in the 70s and 80s because they were the ones being vocal. The guys from the 90s and the 2000s were still competing and finishing up retiring. So they weren't really putting out books yet and podcasts. But the guys in the 80s and stuff, the 70s, they were like, oh, yeah, we would do 500 of this and 300 of that. So I was like, okay, yeah, me too. Let's do that too. So I got the Dianabol, and I think I was doing like 50 megs a day, something like that. Yeah, like it was like a medium like level, right? It wasn't too low, it wasn't too high. It's right there in the middle. I was like, I'm comfortable with this. Let's rock and roll. And then I started to get the side effects probably within like 2 weeks. My nipples were itching. And I got liquid Novadex, right? I got it on one of the research chemical websites and stuff like that. And they sent it to me and they sent me a little oral syringe. And I was like, oh, hey, this is me now. Not sure what I'm doing, right? So I saw 1 mil, and I've never seen an oral syringe before. And then now looking back, I feel ridiculous about this. But I've never really looked at an oral syringe. I just had regular syringes, and I was like, okay. So I'm like looking at the bottle, and I was like, I need to take, what is it, like 10, 20 milligrams, or whatever the frick it is. Okay. So that is 1 milliliter. Okay, fine. I pulled up 0.1.
Oh my God. Oh, no way.
Yeah, so I pulled up 0.1, and I was like, oh, this much. I don't know. Must be powerful stuff. Yeah, okay, don't even taste it. Yeah, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of that. Like my nipples are swollen, they're hurting. They're like, I can like squeeze them and like get some fluid out of them. And I'm like, well, I guess I can't be a bodybuilder, huh? Like this doesn't work at all for me. And then I'm with my girl and she's visiting Cornell. So we're like up, you know, staying together and all that jazz. And I pull out my little bottle and I like pull up my 1. She's like, what are you doing? I was like, oh, I got to take this because my titties hurt. And she's like, oh, that's all you take? I was like, yeah, actually, I'm taking 2 now. I'm not supposed to take that much.
0.2.
I'm taking like way too much now. I'm doubling the dose. I'm taking like 40 milligrams of Novadex. This is awful for me. I don't think it's good for my cardiovascular system. I can't get this freaking gyno under control. I'm not sure what to do. And she was like, oh, okay. I think you're taking like 3 milligrams. And I was like, why? And she's like, because that's 0.1. You see the 0.1? It's pretty self-explanatory. And I was like, oh. So I go 0.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up to here. Like the whole damn thing. Like, yeah. And I was like, that feels so much more appropriate. Like this. And it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks of just being kind of clueless and not having guidance, which is why I love that you do stuff like this. Because it's so important, because I had no one to help me. Just the internet, all the books. And then I was just trying to practice that on myself and thought I was doing a great job. Got gyno. It took me 10 years to get rid of it before I finally got the surgery. Yeah, because bodybuilding is, you know, I didn't make a dime in this sport for 10, 12 years.
Yeah.
So I just made my chest as big as I could. As big as I could, which actually hit it. Okay. But I couldn't do a lot of overhead stuff. So if you go through my social media from like 2013 to like 2017, 2018, you're not going to see like abdominal and thigh. You're not going to see a front double bicep. You're not going to see, and you're going to see most musculars, triceps, t-shirts on. So anyone listening out there, a trick that I would do, you get an ice cube, put it on your nipple before you have to take a picture or pose, and it will shrink it right down pretty good. Yeah. So
I remember doing that at one point myself.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do to get the picture. You're going on stage, all the judges are going to look at you, and you got these little knots of sadness. Got to tighten them up.
Yeah.
Just tighten them up a little bit. I actually got that trick from Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think it was Gandalf. What? Was like, yeah, dude. They were interviewing him, and they were like, he was like I'm not in shape. I don't know where he was when he took his shirt off, but I'm like 99% sure it was the guy who played Gandalf, whatever that actor's name.
Like Ian McKellen or something like that.
Something like that, right? Yeah. And I was watching him and he was talking and they were like, how did you feel about having your shirt off on camera at your age? And he was like, I'm not in good shape. Like my chest is falling and I'm not. And they were like, well, what happened? They put this cold compress on it. And when they took it off, they shot the scene and everything was tight as could be.
Oh.
And I was sitting there with my titties. Like, let me try something. And I did. I got an ice cube. And I was like, no. And my titties were like, goodbye. And then, you got like 10, 20 minutes out of it. And then if you pumped up enough, it would hide it. It depends on how bad it is.
Yeah.
So I had like 3 weeks of development. And then I started to get my medication under control. And then I was able to suppress it and stop the growth of it and live and compete with it for like 10 years. But smoking ganja would give it flares, would immediately give it flares. I would try to hide it the best I could. It would hurt. You know, sometimes I would hit it on stuff. It would swell different sizes. So I never knew if I was going to be able to take off my shirt or not. Like if we went to the pool, sometimes I'd take my shirt off on certain days and it would just be like tight as could be. And my chest would look diesel. Other days I took my shirt off and you'd be like, whoa, dude, like what happened there?
Real quick, guys. So while I was looking at the YouTube analytics, I actually saw that 85% of you guys that watch this channel are not subscribed. And I want to ask very little of you guys, but if you enjoy this podcast, if you find value in it, then please do me this one favor and subscribe to the channel, because doing so helps me get bigger and greater guests like the guests you are listening to today. Also, this channel is not sponsored, which means only the companies that I work with, which are Young LA and Huge Supplements, are the companies that can help fund this channel by you guys using the code NILE. So code NILE gives you a discount of 15% off of Young LA, and code NILE also gives you a discount of 10% off of Huge Supplements. And if you decide to purchase anything from any of these companies, it will help immensely for me by using my code. And this way, I can travel to other guests, such as Dr. Mike Israetel next week, and also upgrade in equipment to make this podcast bigger and better for you guys. What did you do about smoking weed whenever you were experiencing all this?
I tried to stop. Right. Like I had like a year, almost a full year, twice. Because I've been smoking for 20 years. You know, I've been a daily toker for 20 years. Me and Mary Jane, like we are tight. Like we bump. But I got guilty about it twice. So when I had the gynecomastia flares and all that stuff, and I started to read about how alcohol and marijuana and stuff like that can make it, what's the word I'm looking for? Stimulated or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? So I tried to stop then, and I stopped for about 6 months to a year. And then I stopped again when there was the price increase after the medical left in Nevada and it became recreational, it became very expensive. And I was like, I'm not going to put out that bill, so I'm just going to stop. But by being on it and stopping, for me personally, the difference is so dramatic that it's worth it for me to have it in. Absolutely it is.
Being on and stopping.
Like it gave me a good perspective of
see.
what it would be like to have training and my lifestyle using marijuana and not. Was not
worth it.
No, it wasn't. Like I was such a better athlete. I was such a better businessman. I was so much better at everything using ganja, which is not the typical way. Okay, most people, they don't handle it very well. They get high, they fall asleep, they get spacey.
Yeah.
For me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but like my brain, like like when I was a kid, I was diagnosed with ADHD and ADD, and as I got older, they called it something combined because they got rid of one of them and all of this stuff. So
I remember that.
Yeah, so I'm just diagnosed with whatever. My brain is running fast, and I'm down for that, and I can dig it. I love it. I use it as a superpower, right? I can do 1,000 different things in a day. I can think about 100 different things at once.
That is sick.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like it was awful in the beginning. It gave me so much anxiety and thinking, but as time went on, I was like, yeah, I was going to use it to my advantage, right? Like if I pick up something for 30 seconds and I have a tremendous amount of effort and focus on it, then I'm just going to give it that focus 1,000 times. And then if I switch direction, I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm not going to harp on it. I'm just going to switch direction and put 1,000 degrees of effort into this. And when I switch direction again, I'll just go back to that and finish it. And I've been able, I don't procrastinate. And I don't put things off. I just roll with where my motivation is at that moment. And I live my whole life like that. I don't ever set a schedule. I fall asleep whenever I want to. I wake up whenever I want to. I train whenever I want to. Everything is by my body just telling me what's good.
Damn.
And I give it to it. Now, I don't do that with nutrition because you have to have the,
yeah.
So, but everything else, like if I'm on the couch or I'm watching TV or I'm working and I get tired, I go to bed. Not like, I go to bed. And I lay down. And sometimes I'm asleep for an hour, like a nap. Sometimes I'm out for 10 hours. And I'll wake up and it'll be like 2 o'clock in the morning. Start my day fresh as could be.
Damn.
Start it fresh as could be. As like nothing. And that's why I like living in Vegas. Everything is always open. I can go bowling. I get sushi 3 a.m.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for me to start my day at 4 p.m. or start my day at 2 a.m. And it's not uncommon for me to have one day or 2 days in a row sleep like 25 hours. You know, like some days, like I'll train like so I'll have a day or two and I'll just like feel so freaking good. Like my pump's amazing. Like I just look amazing. I'm feeling so good. I just crush my workout. About 8 hours go by, 12 hours go by. Maybe I had 1 sleep session. Maybe I had 2 sleep sessions. Maybe I had no sleep sessions. Still feeling it. You know, I go back, I just hit something that doesn't have a crossover effect. You know, like if I did biceps in the morning, I come back, I'll do the triceps. It's not like this all the time. I just roll with that feeling. I'm freaking rocking. I'm going to rock and roll. Then, but like sometimes after that, I'll just be so exhausted that for 2 days, all I'll do is sleep. I won't post. I won't work. I won't wake up, eat a meal, lay on the couch, fall asleep, wake up, eat a meal, go back to my bed, fall asleep, end up sleeping like 13 hours that day. And then when that's done, and I get, whenever my body's like, okay, wake up now, dude. My eyes like wake up. I'm so productive. I'm so ready. So how it translates over to me is I never have a moment where I'm not productive because my brain is always sharp. And then when I sleep, I never toss and turn. I sleep so heavy, so sound. I get so much rest. I'll never wake up to an alarm. I don't set anything. Wake up when it's time. Go to bed when it's time. And because of that, I'm incredibly rested and incredibly sharp. And I've tried to do the opposite. You know, when I was younger, I worked 3 jobs and it was awful for bodybuilding. So I could have the money to bodybuild.
Yeah.
Awful. I would wake up to my alarm at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work. It would feel like I was pulled out of the depths of hell. Like I felt like I came out of like a K-hole. You know, and then I'd swing my legs over the bed and be like, my whole body feels like it is so mad at me. So I just
good old tranquilizer.
Oh, dude, yo. So when I had the opportunity and the chance to finally flip that, I was like, I'm just gonna do what you want, bro. I know how it felt when you didn't have what you wanted. Take it. You know, I'd be like falling asleep, standing up at work, and trying to look at the computer screen, and like you're just not as sharp. You're trying to put together workouts. You're trying to work on client stuff, and you're like trying to get it done instead of like fucking in it. You know.
Yeah.
So I try to be in it like all the time. Yeah.
Damn, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, as long as your food's there. But that's the other thing too. I will not wake myself up to eat. If I wake up in the middle of the night to piss, protein shake, back to bed. But I won't wake myself up to eat. But if I am awake every 2 hours, every hour.
Yeah, you'll still have some.
Yeah, I'll eat. I eat a lot. So what I do is I graze. Like I'll eat 3 or 4 meals a day that might be like 1,100 calories, and they're pretty solid. And then between those meals, I normally put down like 300 to 600 calories every like 45 minutes to 90 minutes, like in that window.
Okay.
So it's not terribly hard at the end of the day to rack up like 6,500 calories.
Wow.
Yeah, I eat less now than I used to.
That is a lot of fucking calories, bro.
Well, when I bulked up to like that 279 or whatever it was, I had to come back down. I came on stage at 214. That sucked. I probably could have been on stage at like 227, 232 if I didn't have to like sacrifice all that muscle for all that cardio I had to do. Yeah, all of that bulking, all of that Jay Cutler, Lee Priest, get as big as possible bulking. Oh man, I did it. I did. I was. Sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming back was awful. Now I stay relatively lean. Like now I stay like 20 pounds, 15 pounds within like what my peak is.
You look pretty lean. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's
even
what
just see it in like your face, the jawline.
Yeah, just try, and that's what it's easier now to just keep it like that. To just stay like, and I think I grow better too. Like when I get too fat, it's hard for me to see the muscles and stuff like that. And then when I diet, it's hard for me to see actually what I'm holding on to and preserving and see stuff get sharp because I'm trying to get through layers of fluff. And while the layers of fluff are melting off, I'm like, I don't really know what's going on under the fluff. Hopefully the muscle's happy.
Yep.
So.
Right. This last year is the first time I've really like ingrained myself in a really proper like enhanced bodybuilding bulk.
Okay.
So during this period of time, obviously I'm like conscious of my like proportions. In fact, almost self-conscious of my proportions because like I'm seeing all these bodybuilders that are taking various things such as tons of food mixed with GH and insulin. And I'm just like wondering like maybe even though I'm not taking insulin, am I still going to like grow this? Am I? So I'm like constantly like trying to look in the mirror and like when I do my poses and stuff, it's fucking hard for me to tell because like my waistline is still just fucking way bigger than it used to be. So it's like I'm just still having a hard time like figuring out like am I really growing in the right places?
Yeah, is it actually happening under the fluff?
Right.
Exactly.
Like I'm seeing other things grow and it's nice, but it's like what's happening in the waistline, and then like how androgenic am I looking compared to like before, you know? I'm just like wondering all these like things, but I'm sure like, you know, when it comes off, then it'll come off and I'll fucking see it. But
yeah,
I've been keeping it fairly lean.
As I've gone through the cycles of getting big and getting lean and bulking and leaning is what I mean. Between the cycles of bulking and leaning, it is easier and easier to stay lean and get leaner as the years go on. Like tremendously easier for me. And I don't know if it's more muscle or if it's just because this every time I burn the fat off, maybe some of the fat like gets lost. Because I know they say that like muscle cells, fat cells don't really like if you make new ones. This is what I've heard. And feel free to jump in because I'm an open book. So, but from what I understand, the muscle cell, the fat cells, when you store fat, the fat cells will expand. If they expand to a point where they really can't expand too much more, they'll create more. Right. And then when we get lean, they are depleted, but it can be hard for them to go away all the way. So they just sit there depleted and they're empty and they're super small. And the amount that they can expand, from what I understand, is ridiculous. So it turns into, if I eat one donut, I get fat. And I'm like, were you fat before? They're like, I used to be really fat. Okay, so if you have any excess, you know, like if you're lean and you don't, if you're lean, you've been lean your whole life, or you've been relatively lean your whole life, and you eat too much food, like there's a chance like you'll just shit it out, like a lot of it. Your body will process it, you know, glycogen usage and all that jazz. But like, yeah, so there seems to be where if you put on too much weight and then try to lose it, it's easier, literally, to put it back on. You know what I mean? So that's where I don't know though. Every year when I get down to like 5% or 6%, and because there's always like a touch left somewhere. There's always a touch stuff left. So I don't know, is it possible that like some of them actually do? Because I have heard that Anwar, I heard that fat burned on Anwar is depleted. And that Anwar helps the production of brown fat, which also uses stored fat for energy, to my understanding and from what I've heard. And now I don't go out and preach this stuff. I don't like have this as facts to my clients or anything. This is just between you and me, like what I've heard and from what I understand. And then from my experience, it does seem like every year I don't gain fat back as easily. And when I get leaner, it's there's just not as much fat right there.
And you consistently use Anwar?
I use Anwar around contest preps when I'm dieting down. Yeah, I won't use it in the off season. I don't think it's very good.
But every contest prep you have?
Not every one, but a lot. Because I've competed like 26 times. Like 27 times.
All right. I'm gonna just say my piece real quick. And this is something I was gonna say before you even mentioned Anwar. So hopefully this doesn't have people just jumping on Anwar, because maybe it's true, you know. Anwar probably does help that to an extent. But my personal experiences, bro, like I've had the same thing. So I start off fat. I start off fucking fat. And the fatter you get, the easier it is to get fatter. But I'm telling you, like at one point, to put a long story short, so I don't have to tell the whole story, basically, like when I was 12 years old, I just like, I was like an only child, and I was in this perspective of just like, you know what, if I don't make things happen for me, so I'm not alone and I'm not bullied by my peers or bullied by my parents, or like told that I'm less, or told that I'm fat, or told that I'm stupid, or any of these things, I'm just going to either end my life or I'm going to fucking make something happen. So I decided to fast, just like literally just starve myself as much as possible. I lost 40 pounds in like 1 or 2 months, started getting leaner. And then I was on this yo-yo dieting phase, but that's when I started lifting too. And it was a really, really fucking torturous 10 years. But after freaking finally figuring out everything for myself, looking on the internet forums, then looking on the internet YouTube videos, because now people had YouTube videos out about nutrition. Fucking Matt Ogus in like fucking 2013 or 20 or something, like he fucking posted that like macros video with this gigantic fucking salad. You just eat salads, salad bowls this fucking big, man, this fucking big, and just be fucking dick skin shredded. And just following this over the course of the years, and then doing 9 competitions, I realized every single time I got as lean as possible, it was easier to get even leaner the next time. Every single time.
And what about when you started your off season? Didn't you hold on to that lean composure much longer every time you started the off season?
Every time I started the off season, it got easier and easier and easier for me to reverse diet. And so I did.
So yeah, and you could throw in like more and more junk and not put on. You'd still be abbed out, and you're like, dude, this is going well for me.
I started having a lot more improvements in my physique. I was really happy about it. Like honestly, just a constant and consistent like increase in both confidence and just like the appearance of my physique. Honestly, and it was fucking amazing because that's what I wanted to preach to people. I'm like, dude, you guys are worried that it's going to take this long, but I promise you, every single day that goes by, you're literally improving. Every time you're going slower to your goal, regardless of whether or not you go in bulking or cutting cycles, you are improving, man.
Absolutely.
Until the point where maybe you reach like 40 years old and then your test drops and then you decide not to do TRT or something. But that's like, you know, whatever. But yeah, dude, to the point where then when I finally decided to like jump on like gear as well, that even like skyrocketed it even more because, you know, my metabolism increased from the gear intake and then all these things. And then you look drier if you're on like a DHT derived like, you know, compound or something.
Oh, yeah, like Masteron, right? Something
yeah.
like that. I love Masteron. Sure.
Masteron's nice.
Oh, dude.
But I experienced the same thing as you. So like, I don't really like, I get worried about the whole like fat cell thing, but that's like the only thing that I'd like to spill to people is that honestly, it got easier to get leaner every time I tried.
Yeah. The first 5 years is the hardest for sure. First 3 to 5 years is the hardest. And then I don't know, getting past that though, I got like super depressed like in my mid 20s, you know, because I was like, my career like didn't seem like it was working out, you know, like I wasn't getting recognition like I want. Like I don't need recognition, but in this industry, like people have to support you, whether it's fans, whether it's companies, something, or otherwise you're just a hobbyist and that's fine. I didn't want to be a hobbyist. I was competing all the time. I was trying to put myself out there. I was getting top 6s. Sometimes I'd win, but behind the scenes, I was poor. Like so broke, like I had no money and I was working all the time and like I wasn't going like even the sponsors and stuff I had at the time, like it wasn't doing anything, you know. So I was just putting out there and I was just working nonstop and I started to feel like it was pointless, you know, like why am I so like I love fitness and bodybuilding, I'll do that forever, but like why am I trying so incredibly hard like and it's not working? So it's like I didn't know what to do. So I started to have this crisis of questioning what I was doing because I wasn't sure if I was doing the correct things or not, because I wasn't like improving the way I wanted to. I wasn't looking the way I wanted to. I wasn't having the results I wanted to on stage and stuff like that. So I started to have this crisis of maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I don't have the genetics for it. Maybe I only know 30% where I need to learn 100%. And I'm doing all of this damage to my body. Like I'm crushing food, I'm crushing gear, I'm crushing myself in the gym, I'm crushing my bank account, I'm crushing my mental health, and I'm just being crushed. And it got to the point where I was just like, man, I don't like, yeah, okay, I'm doing it right now. I'm 25 years old, I'm 26 years old, but what am I gonna be like when I'm 36 years old? Or what am I gonna be when I'm 46 years old? So I started to have this depression based around performance and results. Yeah. Because remember when I did my first enhanced show at 2013 on top of the world, felt amazing. I won that show. I came back, thought I had the whole world. So remember when I felt like I knew everything as a natty? Yeah. Well, then I started taking gear. Oh dude, now I was an enhanced, you know, so I like went back to the drawing boards. I learned, I reread, I did all this stuff. I learned all this stuff. And then I got the gear, had that wave of results, you know. And then once I hit like 25, 26, like 2, 3, 4 years later, and like I wasn't growing, it wasn't working. I'm taking like a gram, and I'm like, dude, like, is any of this worth it? Like, I'll be in fitness for sure. Like, I'm gonna work out, but like, is it worth it to take stuff? Is it worth it to eat like this? And all that stuff. And it hit my mental health like real hard, really hard. And then on top of that, I had so much time and dedication into that one direction. Then I was like, well, what else could I even do? I would have to like go back to being a busboy or go back to selling fish or go back to selling cell phone covers in the mall. I don't want to do that. Or like I would have to go to school and like learn how to be a mechanic or something like that, you know? So I was just like really talking myself and thinking myself into a circle of what am I doing with my life and is this worth it? Like I love it so much, but like it was depressing.
How come you felt like you plateaued and how do you feel like you got out of that?
I came off. I came off of stuff. So when I was between 22 to 23, that's when I decided I was going to become an enhanced athlete from a natty athlete, right? So I did my first big cycle, first real cycle. My first cycle was legit. Like I came in and I did like a 250 jam for 10 weeks, and I was like, okay. And then 5 weeks went by or 6 weeks went by, and I had 300 for 10 weeks. And I was like, okay. And then like 2 months went by, and I was like, let's do a gram. Let's stop fucking around. Like, let's do a real cycle. So then I went for it, 750 test, 300 this, and I was like, let's rock and roll. And that's when I just started like improving like crazy and getting the results and stuff like that. So I thought I was on this road again to just being Mr. Olympia, just like I was before. Everything was working, all the stars were aligning. Here I came. I won the 2013 Golds Classic. I went to South Carolina. I won the South Carolina State Classic or whatever it was. Doing well. 2 or 3 years go by, man, it's time to be Mr. Olympia, right? Like, that's what I want now. I'm like fighting for pro status. I'm doing all that stuff. So I'm taking like a gram, 1,200, 1,500, depending if I'm throwing orals in or taking them out, and I'm rocking at that for 15 months, like a whole year, just running that, and nothing's changing and nothing's happening. And I am big, but I'm just big. I'm like a 265 pound guy. And I got a big barrel chest, and I got big shoulders, and I got big legs, but I'm going to the gym every single day, and I'm not improving month to month to month. I may be improving every 3 months, maybe. I don't know what it was. It was like that. And so what happened was I got depressed about it. I started to have like all these second thoughts about what I was doing to my body, and I came off everything. I kept training, but I came off everything, and when I came off of everything, I stayed on all my principles, right? I kept eating, I kept training, I kept sleeping, I kept doing everything I was supposed to be doing, not drinking, not abusing drugs, using recreational marijuana and prescription marijuana, I guess however you want to look at it. I was using that one for sure. But came off of everything, rocked and rolled for, I don't know, a year, 9 months, got my test back up. My test was low, dude. Test was like, I think I came back in the teens.
Damn.
I was like, dang, dude, I did some damage to myself. And so I came off of everything, took like 9 months, and I looked good. I still looked good. I looked similar to what I looked like on gear, just a little like, a little flatter, right? Like a little softer and flatter.
But like you just completely came off. Did you even PCT?
Oh, yeah.
PCT.
Tapered off, came off properly. Like everything I've read in the books and everything I learned.
Okay.
I did all that stuff. But I was like, I'm going to stop abusing steroids.
Okay.
Because I'm not getting the return. I'm going to stay in the gym, stay in the fitness, keep posting. But like this life of being trying to be Mr. Olympia just doesn't seem to be working out for me. And if I keep in this direction, I'm going to hurt myself really bad.
Yeah.
And if I hurt myself really bad with nothing to show for it, I'm going to look like a complete idiot. And I'm going to be in a position that there is no coming back from. Like if I have no job and everything's going bad for me, like how the hell am I going to afford dialysis? I'm going to be dead. So I was like looking at that. So I'm looking at that, like I'm looking at income, I'm looking at potential, I'm looking at how much time I have left to learn new things. I'm 25, 26 years old. I have no skills. Oh, I'm a great busboy. You know how ridiculous I would look being a busboy right now? I can't do that. I mean, I would. I'll do whatever I have to. Do we want to check with Timmy?
No, you're good. You're good. I was just going to ask you if you can like, it doesn't matter.
Oh yeah, you can. I'm chill, dude. Yeah, just hang out. Yeah, you want to take pictures? No. I'm here for it. I love it. This is a great environment, dude.
But you're saying busboy.
So yeah, that's what I would be. Yeah, like what skills do I have? I'm a meathead. I'm a trainer. I mean, I could always go to a commercial gym and wear the collared shirt and be a coach. I could always show up at like Fitness Connection and be like, hey, can I join your staff and make $12 an hour?
Dude, this is such a recent, not a recent, but this is such a huge like common occurrence that I'm consistently seeing, and not a lot of people preach it, but the just coming off.
So
And there's
when I came off, looked damn well. So let's say I went from 255 down to 230. I still looked fine. I looked great. Striations, huge chest, huge arms. Like I looked good. Now, if you compared me to me on steroids on 1.5 grams of gear, yeah, it wasn't as hard. I wasn't as full. But I was like, I'm a bodybuilder. I am. Like I did it naturally and I won. And I did good. I did big cycles and I got on gear and I won. And then I got off. I'm still bigger than I ever was. I'm 230, 235 pounds. I look great. Now if you judged me against people, you probably, you need more teardrop. Yeah, probably, of course. I would love to have more teardrop. But that's when I was like, you know what? I think I do have what it takes to live in this world. So that's when I had a complete shift on dosages and length. When I came back, there was no more like 1.5 grams. When I came back, there was no more 6-month cycles, 10-month cycles, 15 months. Like everything was back to the basics, like 6 weeks.
Wow.
12 weeks, done, off, change compounds. Yeah, and then I just, oh man, 285,
Holy shit.
290, 24-inch arms. Dude, I got to send you the pictures. You're going to lose it. I looked great. Having so much fun, feeling so good, eating less food. Yeah, because I also like knocked off all the sugar and stuff like that. So I did it. I did it. When I became obsessed. I jumped in. I tried to swim. I swam. I got into gear. I swam. I hit a roadblock. I stepped back. I reevaluated. I said, let's go again. Different. Came back. Crushed it. Now, the dosages I use now, I won't go over a gram now. There's no reason to. I respond fine. If I was to go to 2, would I have an extra 5 pounds or 10 pounds in my frame? I don't know. But like me sitting here with you right now and having an extra half an inch on my leg is not going to change my mental mood. I feel great. Yeah. I do not bodybuild at all costs. It's not win or nothing. Mm-hmm. No, it's fitness or nothing, because fitness keeps me alive.
Yep.
Yeah, so bodybuilding is a sprint. Fitness is my life. Bodybuilding is a sprint. There is no quarterback who is as good at 60 as he was at 20. It's just like any other sport. If you want to run in the sun, have big barrel chest and big arms, yeah, do it, dude. But understand, it's temporary, just like everything else. You're not going to be slamming down tomahawk dunks when you're 55, 75 years old. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to be putting up 500-pound benches when you're 65 years old. So just go ham.
Yeah.
Stay safe,
right,
as best you can. But go ham and just enjoy it while you got it. And then when it's gone, stay in the gym. But let it go. Mm-hmm. Stop taking shit. Stop eating so much and all that. Let it go.
The things that I think about in order for me to like really like structure my priorities straight for myself personally is like the things that last longest are up here and in here, and then what you spread towards the people around you.
Absolutely.
So I guess in my way of like acting with bodybuilding and everything, like, yeah, I'm like investing myself as hard as possible, but I'm also realizing like sometimes at a certain extent, bodybuilding comes at the expense of some other things.
Okay.
Such as the family and friends, the health, and sometimes even if you're spending way too much time focusing on your bodybuilding career and it's like over the edge to the point where like you're eating so many calories you can't even digest it properly, and you're literally out, like you're not even like able to focus consistently, and then add on top of that, if you're taking something like 19 Nors or anything that's neurotoxic, like you start thinking like, is it really worth it overall? Like
it depends,
like,
right?
Yeah.
So people say like, what do you want? And is it worth it? And that's fine. But there has to be some level of logic to it. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's the thing. You start training. Everyone starts pretty easy, right? They just start picking up weights at first. They start going to the gym. So that's my thing. If you start going to the gym and you respond, okay, that's good. You started throwing in like protein shakes. Did you respond again? Okay. You started putting together structure, right? Who knows how long time went by? 3 weeks, 6 months? I don't care. But you started putting your structure together. You started taking it seriously. Did you respond? You did. Okay. It's working. It's working. Okay. So now what are you doing? Are you putting together splits and you're reading programs and you're putting together a diet, and now you're not drinking anymore? You're not smoking weed anymore or cigarettes or whatever it is that was holding you back, depending on who you are personally, and you're cleaning up your family life and you are getting all those together? Is it working still? And is it really working or is it not? Because if it's really working, you start to find yourself in different categories if it continues to work. Because you have the principles, of course, and then you have the genetics, but then you just have the applied everything. Like it's just, the principles are fine. Like people can do cardio every day. That's fine. People can go to the gym every day. But what the fuck are you doing in the gym? Okay. That's actually like the application, not the principle. The principle needs to be there first, but then the application has to be there as well. If you can't go into the gym and train until your nose bleeds, okay, it's over. Go home. Well, get your workout in, look fit, be happy. But like, you're gonna be Mr. Olympia. You're not gonna like be this huge tank barrel man. You just don't have what it takes, and that's okay. I don't have what it takes to do a lot of things. I do not have what it takes to dunk a basketball in the NBA. I do not have what it takes to throw a football 60 yards with an NFL man running at me. You don't have what it takes to get a 22-inch arm, and that's okay. That's not a big deal. But being logical about things, if you do, it will present more options to you.
Yeah.
And if it presents more options to you, well, then You can consider things. Do you want this to be a career? Do you want to do this like as a side gig? Do you want to just experiment and see how much you can keep responding with all of the applications of bodybuilding? And if you can do that and you want to do that and you see that possibility for yourself and you are logically looking at it without fooling yourself and it's working, well, okay, then that's pretty much the last step. Let's throw in some gear, rock and roll, and keep pushing it. But if you don't, a lot of guys don't. A lot of guys, like, they don't have the principles to eat the protein shakes, or if they do and they're eating their protein, it's just not really working, like I don't need to be mean, but guys can everybody can build muscle and everybody can get lean, but there is a level of it. And the way I try to describe it to be fair is, imagine we're all in high school again, okay? We're all in high school right now. Put together your football team. Put them together. Who do you pick first out of the whole school? Whole school's your oyster, dude. Everyone's playing. Who do you pick first? Okay. Who'd you pick last? Okay, the guy who's last place is never going to be first. He's never going to be first. He's never, ever. And it's just the way it is. I'm never going to be 7 foot tall. We are in a specific category of athleticism. Okay, and people think that bodybuilding is very generalized. It's not. It is just like playing football or playing basketball or playing soccer. It is specific. A lot of guys don't want to train until their nose bleed. A lot of guys just don't. They can't do that. And that's fine. They can't eat 6 pounds of meat in a day, and that's okay. You can do things I can't do. But if you can do them and you start applying that stuff and you have those options open up to you, you run with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, for sure. You're spitting facts.
You just really have to be so logical and not delusional about it. And that's what's a shame. So back to the high school guys, back to our college guys. We pick the guy who's first. He's always going to be first. The guy you picked last, is he always going to be last? No, let's give him steroids. Let's give him food. Let's give him a coach. Let's teach him how to do things. Let's get him off a drinking regimen. All right, well, there's 40 guys on the team. The guy who was last, where is he now? Oh, he's 15th. He's 11th. Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. Okay, well, let's give everybody the same thing and give everybody the same regimen and give everybody the same attention of the 39 guys who were previously in front of him. Oh, he's last again. Oh. The guy who's picked first for the football team is always going to be first when you throw in the same thing to everybody. Because when it comes to genetics and application, if we can all train super hard, if we can all eat the same amount of food, we can all have those principles, and we're all taking steroids, it's all going to fall back to genetics again.
Yeah.
The guy might not be last. He can move up. You can improve that physique. You can do a lot personally, but are you going to be able to become the starting quarterback from not even making the team because you took steroids or because you trained or because you wanted it more than anybody else? It's a never.
Yep.
Never, ever, ever, ever. And if you do, oh man, we'll love you. We'll write books about you. We'll give you a Netflix movie. It'll be awesome. You'll inspire millions of people. But it's just from the logical point of view, I'm not going to be an astronaut. Like, from a logical point of view, like, I'm not going to go to MIT and apply to work in a laboratory. I don't know that stuff. I can't do that stuff. I don't have the education for that stuff. I never applied myself in that position. So when these guys come out and they're like, well, this is me, and I saw a magazine, so I can just take like Tren, and then I'll be like the guy in the magazine. It's like, absolutely not, dude. Absolutely not. Like, we can do so much for you. So much. We can transform you, double you, but like, we don't have to kill you in the process.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get there.
If you feel like any of the medications that we spoke about today may benefit you, such as BPC 157, GH secretagogues such as Tesamorelin, IGF-1, oxandrolone troche, semaglutide, then you can obtain these from Transcend HRT, and the link for that will be in the bio. If you feel like you're experiencing symptoms of low testosterone, such as depression, anxiety, lack of motivation, as well as lack of sex drive, then you can get this checked out as well by getting your blood work done at Transcend, and they will provide you expert medical analysis. Transcend HRT has worked with many professional bodybuilders and pro athletes, such as Thor Bjornsson, Phil Heath, and Jeremy Buendia. And if you feel like this podcast has any relevancy to you, I do believe that this clinic will provide of great benefit to you as well. Homies, we just took a break. Mr. Ziegler, David Ziegler's videographer, had to leave for a second, so going back to Vegas. But anyways, brings me to what we were talking about last, and I actually this is how you know it's a good podcast, is when you You just talk, and I don't even get to go to the intro.
Oh, good.
But
good.
Uncle David Ziegler, also known as Ziegler Monster, I actually first came across your content when I saw that video that I posted on my story, like of you talking about the heart attacks. And honestly, straight up, man, I think that was literally the best video I've ever seen, hands down, with a proper like step to step explanation to like let your listeners really comprehend the severity of the subject, which is really difficult, especially for people these days, because like, you know, cardiovascular disease is the leading number one killer, but we don't really think about it very often, especially if we're young. You know, kids don't really think about it a lot. People just say, you know, keep an eye on your diet, do exercise, but like kids are never thinking about like the fact of they never think about heart disease or slow. Anything, right?
Yep, it's slow and
it's a silent killer. Yeah,
it's slow and so common. Like you said, it's the leading death in the United States. It is rough. And if you have a stroke or a heart attack, okay, so I might mess this up a little bit, but we're talking about general absorption of our viewers, right? So if you want to listen nitty gritty, talk to your cardiologist, talk to a doctor, talk to somebody who specializes totally in this field. But I think that we need to be able to understand it and share the information on a level that the guys can understand and practice. You don't need to totally understand how lipids work, but you need to understand that too much sugar might not be good for you. And that's perfect. That's fine. You want to totally understand why? Go talk to the cardiologist. Buy the textbooks and totally break it down. But it needs to be known through the whole industry that like tons of saturated fat is bad. Tons of sugar is bad. Tons of steroids is bad. Overtraining to the max is bad. Stuff like that. So if you have a heart attack or a stroke, you're live. Okay, so let me reword this. If you have a heart attack or a stroke and you do not die, you are lucky. Because 50% of the people who have one of those attacks do die. And out of the people who do, most of them had no prior symptoms at all until they just dropped dead from a heart attack or an aneurysm or something similar, like a stroke is what I mean, stroke or heart attack. They just drop dead. So if you survived a heart attack, you're already considered lucky. How unfortunate is that? Because you just played Russian roulette to the max, and you get there through lifestyle, genetics of course, but mostly through lifestyle.
Right. Exasperating your genetics through lifestyle.
For sure, absolutely. We all die. The only guarantee of life is that you'll die. And how you get to the end of it is going to be made up of 4 billion trillion decisions. So if you can have a general pattern of understanding what's good and bad, you're not going to get all of them in either direction, never. But if you can have that general pattern of positive waves, you know, trying to eat clean, trying to keep the saturated fat down, trying not to abuse the shit out of steroids,
right?
It's better. You'll be fine.
I would like to like insert here that likely, potentially, possibly saturated fat is like applicable for anyone eating anything related to like the common diet. I know there's a lot of arguments out there regarding carnivore, and I really don't know the science behind any of those. But
well, no, me too, and that's it too. If you want to talk to your cardiologist, because there is a lot of talk about like if cholesterol levels and stuff really do have like animal cholesterol and stuff.
I believe it's a combination. For sure.
That's what I think. It's excessiveness.
Yeah.
I do not want you to stop eating saturated fat. I don't want you to like not eat burgers or anything like that. I just think that we as bodybuilders need to have a general understanding that we take everything to 1,000%.
Yeah.
And maybe we should be like 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. You know, instead of like, if you're going to eat 5 pounds of meat a day, all right. Should it all be beef? I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think you should throw some chicken in there, maybe some turkey in there, maybe a little bit of pork in there, and that's kind of how I
throw some fucking sockeye salmon in there, bro. That's just gas.
Yeah, like as long as you're
omega 3s,
diversifying the diet as much as you can, and you're just not putting yourself in a position where you're all or nothing in any direction. Okay, so is there research that shows it's bad? Yeah. Is there research that shows maybe it's not bad? Yeah. Okay, well maybe I'll just walk the middle line. I'll walk the middle line until we get more information, but I just won't go in either direction too terribly far, because there is compelling stuff on either side. And as we look through studies over the years and years and years, stuff flips, stuff changes, as it absolutely should as we gain more information. That's why we need to go into everything understanding like this is what we think now. This is what we think right now. So I need to make the best decision I can based off of this right now. And does that mean like I'm going to cut out all saturated fat? No, but does it mean I'm going to like drink it?
Right.
Probably not.
Right.
Probably not. But I drink like polyunsaturated fats. You know, like I take like fish oils, omegas, and all those different fats, and I'll just like suck down an avocado.
Yeah.
Different type of fat, you know, because the research right now shows that like that's not necessarily that potentially won't have the side effects, the negative side effects, you know, exaggerated by life.
More likely beneficial.
More likely beneficial, right? And now is that true? Probably. Could it change? Yeah, it could. But does that mean I'm only going to eat avocados? No, I'm going to throw other fats in there too. I'm just going to try to have a really balanced diet. You know, even if I'm going to, and I didn't used to do that when I was younger, right? Of course, I just went nuts in different directions. But I'm trying to have a really balanced diet, including a lot of different sources, so that no one particular source potentially is going to dominate so freaking hard that later I'm going to learn that that was a mistake, or later learn that that wasn't the right move, you know, whatever it might be. I'm just going to try to walk that middle ground. Yeah.
I think a lot of us don't think about how this is a constant hammer that you're just fucking hammering down on yourself, right? Constantly just injuring yourself a little bit more every time you're taking like another cycle, or eating some more sugar, or eating something off that's off diet, or skipping all of your cardio, and it just consistently grows over time. And one of the things that I think is hard for us to determine, but we all understand to an extent, is like if you're gonna like run cycles for like years as a bodybuilder, it probably is actually really important for you to overcompensate as much as possible in the other areas.
I agree. And that's what we're trying to do, or what I would want to preach, is I'm not here to tell you eat this or eat this or eat this. I'm here to just give you a general idea of consider what everybody is what everyone is saying. Consider what everyone is saying. Consider what you're hearing. All of this. So take it in. Make your own decision, but make the decision not totally in one direction ever. And we're talking about like food sources here. Yeah, like if you consume, no matter what it is, consistently in ample qualities or quantities, anything that might have positive or negative, for the most part, you're going to experience, because now you're like a test subject. You're like, oh, okay, so you're going to eat four Pop-Tarts a day for 6 months. Like that, like that's like a prescription. We are prescribing you Pop-Tarts. Like we could do a study on you now, because we're going to give subject A a Pop-Tart every 6 hours for 6 months and see the response. Yeah. Because you're just so focused on that one thing, and there's just so much of it. We're like, all right, well, if you had like, if you like Ezekiel bread one meal, you know, you have rice one meal, maybe you have a little pasta one meal, maybe you have a Pop-Tart, you know, after the workout or something like that. Just diversifying alone, and even contamination, like if there's anything specific to that one thing that might accumulatively be negative, well, okay, well, that's fine. But like, so we probably just don't, you know, instead of eating 40 Pop-Tarts, we'll just eat like 3. Okay, cool. We're not going to like cut out Pop-Tarts. I'm not going to like lose my mind over everything. I'm not going to become so obsessed over like every single macro and every single nuance. I'm just going to look at it as general patterns. Like, am I going to eat like a bowl of lard every day, or twice a day, or 3 times a day? No. But could I put like a tablespoon of lard in like some cooking? Maybe. Makes it taste good.
Yeah. I actually want to keep discussing heart attacks, but before we do though, I forgot that I wanted to respond to the last thing that we said you were talking about before we decided to go on break, because you were talking about genetics, right?
Sure.
And like say that everybody was taking the exact same cycles, doing the same food, taking the same regimen or everything,
and had the same effort.
And obviously I want to add in accordance to their genetics, who they are, then in the end, likely genetics is going to be the factor that determines who's the best, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So something that I want to add in there from my personal experiences, recently I got my raw data from 23andMe and I put it into Promethease.
Okay.
So me and my buddy, Promethease is this like site where you can essentially put in your raw data of your DNA, and it'll give you back the results of what you are genetically predisposed to.
Okay.
So I got to take a look, and man, it fucking blew my fucking mind, dude. It blew my mind and made me realize, holy shit, there is so much, like, people really undervalue and underestimate just how much variance there is in between us. Like,
sure.
And it's crazy. So another thing is, like, maybe one person may have better genetics, but you know how programming is important, right?
Okay.
Like training programming is important, obviously.
Like the structure, everything.
Yeah, the structure and everything. Like some bodybuilders like to just go in there and fucking crush it, which is cool because if you know if you're doing what you feel is best and you are in tune with your body, there's a likelihood that I believe that you are right doing what your body responds to. Not everybody is like that though. That's the issue. That's why programming is smart. And so that's where I want to say is when I did Prometheus, I found out certain things like I have this thing called impaired muscle performance. So
Okay.
basically I respond better with my type 1 fibers. So I respond a lot better to endurance. I am lacking in explosive power.
Okay.
So my body and my muscles will respond best to longer time at attention, higher reps, more volume
Very
versus
cool.
someone who does something with more strength. And this kind of screams to me because I was always like a little bit stronger as a kid, but I just kept trying to push hard. I tried to do both powerlifting and bodybuilding, and no matter how hard I try, I could never get anywhere even close. Even I feel like even half as close to like Larry Wheels or Sam Sulek. In fact, even all of my like big white friends were always like, if they were doing like powerlifting or bodybuilding to the same amount of years that I was, they were always stronger, no matter what.
Okay.
And it was like really frustrating for me.
When you changed training, did you respond? You did?
When I changed training, my legs blew up.
My man. Your legs are great too.
Thanks, bro. Thank you,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate that. But yeah, I used to do just like 8 rep sets all the time because I wanted everybody to see how I had like 4 plates on the squat rack for reps. And then I decided to take those off and start doing higher reps, lower, like a lot slower eccentrics, both on leg extension, even sometimes on squat. Sometimes I do 16 plus reps. And dude, I swear to God, like I just saw it. I felt it in my legs first. The pump was a lot crazier.
Okay.
The stimulation was there, and then I saw the results later. I was like, my legs look fuller. People are starting to compliment it. I'm like, this is happening. It's real.
Nice.
So, yeah. And there's a lot of other things that I experienced. For example, like I'd feel like a lot of tendon issues. I'd get injured easily. Like I felt like my hands would hurt sometimes. I'd get these issues in my wrist or my thumbs. My mom has carpal tunnel, and I would always be curious, is it carpal tunnel? And then I would have like shoulder impingement issues and hip injury issues. And in my DNA test, it says I have a much higher propensity for various types of arthritis and tendonitis.
Oh, interesting. And you've already seen it like genetically.
Literally 5 weeks ago,
Amazing.
I got de Quervain's tendinitis on my right hand, and then 2 weeks ago, it happened on my left.
Oh.
So I fucking have tendonitis in my hands right now, and it just, dude, this fucking DNA test was amazing.
That is
But the
amazing.
coolest thing about this is like, if I had known this when I started bodybuilding 15 years ago,
Sure. All the time.
dude, how
Yeah.
much gains could I have made if I actually trained with accordance to my type, my fiber type, and then actually done it properly versus my ego?
Hindsight is depressing sometimes.
Yeah.
You just sit there and like, oh.
Right.
And like, I don't feel old. Like when you talk about time going by, like, oh, 10 years went by, 5 years went by, 10 years went by again. Like I don't feel old. But like when I think about my memories, I'm like, dang, oh yeah, we went there, we saw this, we did that, I was like, yes, oh, that was 8 years ago. Whoa.
Yeah.
So it's like all the time, if you could have been productive and you think about it, you know,
Yeah.
oh, dude, it'll drive you nuts.
So any of my boys out there, I'm telling you right now, please, if you guys are starting your bodybuilding journey and stuff, just try to figure out like what you might be predisposed to, and try to figure out like what you think you respond best to. And if you even can, even better, just get a fucking genetic test.
Yeah, that's pretty
Go get a 23andMe and like put in Prometheus or something, or go to Prometheus and just figure it out. And it's fucking cool, dude.
It is
It's
cool
sick.
that we have stuff like that available
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Before, like, everybody was just like bumping into each other in the gym,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
in the 60s and the 70s, and every and that's part of the a lot of guys want to put emphasis on the gear over the years, and
Right.
but really, like, so much, every aspect of bodybuilding,
There's so much, dude.
oh, is multiplied by 100%.
Even down to the gear, like one guy could respond with a different gear regimen than another. Same thing as a training, right?
Sure, but like imagine the same cycle now compared to 50 years ago. Like now your nutrition, imagine like how easily we can get your protein in, like how easily we can control everything, all the different angles you have available to you in the gym, all the different training, all the different, like, people like to say science-based and bro science, right? Bro science in bodybuilding is more valuable than real, like, mainstream science for building muscle. And people will argue that all day. But the thing is Like we talked about genetics, like we talked about output, like we talked about goals, and like we talk about length of things, whether it's training or cycles or anything. All of that information doesn't apply to a regular person. They just don't do any of that. So when you talk about like training stimulus and they're doing, and yeah, sure, they do studies on people who go to the gym, but you know, how many people do you know who go to the gym? How many people live a life like you? So when you have people like us, for the last 100 years, there has been a small club where everybody knows everybody. Everybody has been in it for life. Everybody teaches and shares and is this community. And there's a wall around it. And it's not a wall around it by choice. We want to be accepted to be part of this with everybody. Everybody judges us and puts that wall up. And then they don't listen to us. They put the wall up. They don't listen to us. They take the hard way to learn everything. And we're just in here in our fitness world, where for the last 100 years, we have had such intelligent men take all of their time, all of their effort, all of their financial abilities, and live in this industry, watching men, training men, talking to other coaches and trainers 10 years, 20 years, 100 years later. There is no guesswork. Talk to Haney. He will turn you into the biggest monster you could ever possibly be, ever. Will you win the Olympia? I don't know. But will you be that? Yo. And can he do it? Haney can do it. Yo. Oscar can do it. Chris Aceto can do it. There's 100 men, 20 of them famous for it. They became famous for it. And they're not in there guessing. There is no in there like, oh, a concoction, this concoction. It's literally over the years, there's bodybuilding. And we have sharpened those skills together by being a community. So when you want information about bodybuilding and how to build muscle and how to get lean, whether you want to use steroids or not, why would you not go to the ultimate source where there has been millions of dollars financed for it? Tons of professionals with degrees here and in backgrounds here and all just focusing totally on this. And then they closed the door and talked about it amongst themselves for 100 years while simultaneously practicing it. That's science, dude.
Yeah.
That's a study of you and what you want to do done over 100 years on so many participants, on so many genetic backgrounds, and it has been whittled down and screened down to what works the best. Does this mean it's going to work for you? No, but I got 5 things and I guarantee you one of those motherfuckers does. We don't have to go out there and like, you know what I mean, and search high and low, and we're not digging for gold and like, oh, I found the secret formula. No, we know the formula, just which one works for you. We know it. There is
exactly.
Yep. You want to be a bodybuilder, dude. Oh, you can't do it. No, you want to do it. You'll be the best version of you could ever be. I don't know how impressive that will be. I don't know what it'll look like, but we can do it. Absolutely. Yeah. When you get into the mainstream science, we're like, oh, I heard that. Like if I like a little extra zinc, maybe. Like, that's okay. Yeah, I mean that's probably. But like, why don't you just read that book written by Chris Aceto or something like that? He's been thinking about this for so long.
Yeah.
So long.
I'm an advocate for finding a balance of both, but a lot of people just really don't want to.
Absolutely.
It's really hard to. Like, just kind of like the same way, I guess, like you look at politics, you know, there's always going to be the extremes.
Sure.
Two fighting sides. But, I mean, the fact is, like, there's a lot of science, a lot of credible science is true, but there's a lot of generalizations, too. Like, you can say that, like, they just picked a study of like this many people who do this thing, and this is the study, and from the study, they found that a longer average length while you're doing an exercise induces more hypertrophy.
Like time under tension?
So like if you're like doing
Dave Draper wrote about time under tension in his book in 1967.
No, not time under tension.
Whatever it was.
No, like stretch. Like the longest, like bodybuilders, bro science have always preached the stretch, right?
Okay.
Then they decided to do a study on lengthened muscle. So the greatest hypertrophy happens at the most lengthened average of the muscle.
Okay.
I'm not really saying it very, very nice, very coherently right now.
So when the muscle is at the longest, it's at the most vulnerable.
The most lengthened position. And so like say that you're doing like a leg extension, instead of doing the top half rep, like going all the way down here, this stretch is going to help create the most stimulation. So it's saying, like, for example, if someone's doing the top 75% of the rep versus someone else who's doing the bottom 75% of the bottom 75% of the rep where the knee is flexing the most is going to create
that's Jason Huh training. Jason Huh, when he won, was it USA's in 2010? I think it was. My man, that's how he trained. All he would do, like, he would grab a cable, put the whole stack on the cable, come to the bottom of the rep, and sit there and hold the tension and just do these little baby partials like this. And he did that with his biceps, with his now he owns, what's Jason Huh own? He owns Steel Supplements. So yeah, the guy who owns Steel Supplements, he's been practicing that for 14 years. And when he was doing it, man, people were writing about him in the magazines. They were in like Muscular Bound. They're like, I got to call Jason. He doesn't know what he's doing. And now you're saying that there has been studies recently that show he was right.
Yeah,
he was huge.
Yeah,
he was huge.
Huge, huh? But
Jason Huh.
But for sure, though, the thing is, like, I want to make some comparisons, but I also don't want to like discriminate any cohorts of people or anything. But like, I kind of like to make the comparison to, say, like, zodiac signs or like astrology.
Okay.
So, like, women like to do a lot of things by feeling, right?
Sure.
And sometimes the intuition is correct. And if they're really in tune, their intuition feels like it's almost always correct.
Okay.
And astrology and zodiac signs seem to align with that, like, through their mental perspectives. The same way that I see, like, if someone's been experienced in bodybuilding for like 10, 20 years and he learned his body and what worked best for him, there's a very likely chance that from him listening to his body, he has a level of intuition that is telling him the correct things to do for himself.
I can get behind
such as Jason Huh, right?
Yeah, I can get behind this for sure.
And there's a level of, like, intuition and then also have incredible science that I think can make you the absolute very best. The problem is if you go all the way to the bro science, there's going to be some people who don't have that. They just feel something's right or they think something's right, but they don't have the same, like, intuition that maybe Jason does.
For sure.
Or they haven't had the experience.
I can agree
with
that. And
that's where people are like, dude, fucking bro sciencey things, like, they just you know what I mean? Like, they just do stupid shit and they're just doing it because someone else said it, or you're saying it because he feels, because there's some people that aren't actually accurate about it versus you can just have concrete evidence in the study side. But in the study side, there is no intuition. There is no, like, there's no varying of, like, programming based off of someone's specific body type or how they feel. Because you don't normally, like, have a control group of people that are one specific type of, like, genome, or, like, all have, like, the same, like, DNA variants. Like, they don't ever go that deep in studies.
Even your mind, effort.
Yeah,
I have seen people finish a leg press, and I know they can do 10 more reps, but to them, they are dying. In their head, they honestly think they can't do more, and there's no way I could ever convince them to do more. But I know if I was sitting where they are sitting, I would do 30 more. Yeah. And you can't grab 50 participants with your brain.
Yeah.
You know, but so I think that I agree with you. You need science and you need the industry very much, because the industry has proven that they know how to do it and they can do it. Even if they have to beat around the bush to figure it out, they have 5, 6, 10 different formulas to figure it out. But like you said, if you can have not even an open mind, but if you can just have both perspectives, maybe you can help reel that in faster. Maybe you can help your cardiovascular help with the food. Because we're over here, you know, like, fats are fats, sugars are sugars for the most part when it comes to muscle building. You know, like, your muscle won't discriminate against the food very hard. It will look big and veiny and be awesome, but you can use that science knowledge to know what's going on with your lipids and change your fats up and include your fish oils and stuff like that. So I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, there's no reason to ignore the guys who've been doing this for 100 years, thinking about it all day long. There's no reason to ignore them. Absolutely not. This is their field. But if there's somebody over here and they're, like, complimenting this, or they're thinking about it, or they're contributing information, why would you not use both? Why would you not use any tool that's available to you?
Yeah.
And that's why we started this conversation, is because I see that. I see, like, the demonization of one. And they almost pick you, like, I am now science, and that's how I vote. I am bro science, that's how I vote.
Yeah.
Well, these are just blanket terms. that we've created ourselves. You know, there should really be no difference. Every information you can absorb should just be bodybuilding information, you know? So that's the thing that gets me upset, though, is when the guys will, like, 16 years old to slap Oscar Gordon in the face, you know? Oh, Haney Rambod, psh, psh, psh. No, I'm not even going to listen. Not even going to listen. Dude's made 50 Olympians. You could just listen. I'm not even saying you have to apply it all the way. You know? It's probably just be a good conversation to have. Why, he's right there trying to teach you stuff. Why would you not listen? He literally has, like, I want to build a house. I built one over here. Do you like it? I love it. I'm going to build the same one. Want me to show you the blueprints? No. Oh, are you mad at me? Mm-mm. I just want to figure it out for myself. Okay. That's fine. Why? Well, it's fine. If that's what you want to do whatever you want to do. But not me. I'll listen. What do you do? How'd you build that wall? What'd you do? What nails did you use? That's me. Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what would you say are probably the best tests that someone can take in order to, like, be mindful and track their heart condition?
The best testing?
Or have you done any?
I do a lot of testing. We test my blood every 6 months to a year, depending on if I'm cycles or not, and where we are in the contest and all that. And then every 5 years, we do CAC scores on my heart. So we can look at the valves, the size of the heart, look at the plaque in the heart, stuff like that, for sure. So a CAC score, CAC, a CAC score is a great test to do. Yep. Most people don't do it before the age of 45. Most bodybuilders around the age of 30 have a number. So that's something to consider. If you have a number, you should start working with a cardiologist and really look at how you train and how you eat and how you use supplements. So, because you can have the best blood work. Like, we're going to go and pull your blood. Wow, your kidneys look great. Your liver looks great. All creatinines, everything's in there. Oh my gosh, testosterone's high. Estrogen's under control. You look fantastic. Even your cholesterol's not too bad. But then we could do a CAC score and find out you got a number that's 730 and you got a blockage of 70%. If you didn't know that information, you would go full steam ahead, not giving a fuck, feeling confident, feeling healthy, feeling like you can go because you did everything appropriate. And then you're dead in 7 years from a heart attack, and that sucks. And if you knew about that, your cardiologist could have put you on a statin, or maybe you don't want to take a statin. There are like 30 different medications that help get cholesterol under control. There's a lot out there. There's a lot you can do with your diet. There's even prescription fish oils you can get from your doctor, which have the craziest guarantee of the sourcing, because most fish oil, it's like 90% of them are rancid, and like the ratios are always off when they get tested and stuff like that. So you can get prescription fish oils that are super, super guaranteed to be all the omega fatties for real. And they help with cholesterol, they help with cardiovascular health, all of that stuff, but at least you'll know. And then it's up to you, like, what kind of testing you want to do. If you want to do like a dye test, where they like put the dye in you and then they take a picture of you and you can try to find where the blockages are. All of that stuff is elevated from the general CAC score. But if you go in and you get a CAC score of 0, and then all your blood work looks pretty good and your heart's the normal size, your valves are normal size, you probably are in a good position. Give it, you know what I mean? But it's something that it gets overlooked a lot is the heart and the stress that gets put on the heart. Because we see arterial scarring. We see arterial scarring from guys who don't take steroids. We see arterial scarring, which leads to heart attacks later in life, from people who just exercise very hard. And that's why I was talking about training. Even the training can kill you. If you're training very, very, very hard, what happens is your arteries go under all of this stress, man. Imagine you at the bottom of a 500-pound squat, dude. Your arteries are pumping blood. You are holding your breath. You're expanding them. There's all of this pressure. They tear and they rip, and it's microscopic and it's small, but the walls of the artery, they get all of these little abrasions in them. And as that abrasions build up, what happens is the arteries can become more and more brittle. But then also when you have like white blood cells from all the muscle tissue being damaged and released into your blood, and then you have your cholesterol and you have your fat, and whether you want to argue about science, about ratios and this and potentials or not, people die and this happens. So a whirlwind of many different factors are then floating around in your blood, and they create this waxy substance. That waxy substance tries to fix the arterial walls, like patch them up like Band-Aids and stuff like that, so they can heal up, and it scars up and it gets hard and this waxy plaque sticks to it. If you have too much waxy plaque and all that stuff, it builds up more and more and more and more on there. And eventually that's how you get blockages, and then they have to put in a stent or you have a heart attack and die. Absolutely. But that happens because stress of the cardiovascular system. We see it in cyclists. We see it in marathon runners. We see it in soccer players. If you look up great athletes, like we think that the general idea is that exercise is extremely healthy for you. And a lot of people have a meter on it where the more exercise, the more healthy they're going to be. Most top athletes who perform at top levels do not live as long as a general fit conscious couch potato. And it's because of the stresses on their body all the time over the years. You're supposed to use your filters. You're going to die. There's no reason when you die, your liver has to be crystal clean. There's no reason when you die, your kidneys have to be crystal clean. There's no reason your arteries have to be crystal clean. It's just, are you 75 and, all your stuff is like, getting there, or are you 30 and it's getting there? And that's all because of lifestyle. And it's not just steroids. We see it in obesity. When you have that much sugar, the sugar and all that crap in your blood that you're eating, it's in the quantities. It's not just like all the time. Like if you like a little bit of sugar, you're going to use it for so many good things: blood sugar, glycogen, brain function. Oh, great, cool. Sit down and eat like 4 milkshakes. People do it, and you're like, oh, I would never do that. Well, great. But people do. Yep. We see it. And when you do, your blood becomes this big, heavy, toxic mess. And then the walls of the arteries get abrased and things happen as it's floating around. And over the years, the plaque comes and stores on it and it tries to fix it and it gets hard. And sometimes too much gets put on there. And then sometimes you exercise or something happens and a little bit breaks off and a heart attack, stroke. Oh, no. So if you have a general idea of what you're eating, like you're just, like I said, like you're not like losing your mind over it, but you're like, okay, maybe I don't need 5 milkshakes right now. I could probably do just like 1. Like that. Okay, good. Mm-hmm. And then you talk to your cardiologist, you do that study. You do that test. If you have a CAC score, cool. Then you just keep an eye on it with your cardiologist because now he knows. So if you knew you had a CAC score and you knew you had some plaque buildup or you had some arterial scarring or something like that, whether it was from your athletic performance, your steroid use, your food intake, whether it's from you smoking, drinking, using recreational drugs, those are all factors that give you atherosclerosis, which is arterial scarring and such. So depending on whatever your lifestyle is, okay, fine. If you have that and because you go, now like, okay, so I'm going to keep an eye on it. Every 5 years, every 3 years, we're going to do the test again. What's the accumulation like? Is me changing my lifestyle and not smoking as much and not drinking as much and eating less sugar? And now is the CAC score paused? Or am I going back 3 years later and it's doubled? Okay, well, these are all things we need to know and we all need to consider. And we can see these things in real time. And the more advanced it gets, well, now you're on a list. And it's like, I'm probably going to need a stent. I know that. Could be in 5 years, could be in 10 years. But if I have some chest pain, I'm not fucking around. I'm going to go to the hospital immediately. I'm going to, hey, what's up? My name is so-and-so, and I work with cardiologists, whatever, and I have heart condition. I have arterial scar and I have plaque in my heart right now and I have chest pains. They're mild, but I might be having a fucking heart attack right now. And I know that about myself. Could you live a full, long life with a CAC score? Yeah, for sure. But you'll know more than the guy who didn't. So it's one test that like I'm an advocate for. Yeah, calcium score test. CAC, CSE. Yeah. It's easy. It takes 20 minutes. Don't take your clothes off. No dyes. You just lay in a tube, and they go on your heart, and then you're done. Very easy. And you'll see anything over a 0 means there is evidence of arterial scarring. Okay, and what causes that? Atherosclerosis and stuff like that. Steroids, training, hard training, awful food, smoking, drinking, stuff like that. But the thing is, we see CAC scores, and like really the doctor doesn't want to see any score at all. Like he wants to see you have a 0 all the way until you're 40. Okay. And then when you're in your 40s, you could have like a 50. You could have or whatever. You could be in your 60s. You could be in your 70s with a 0. Or you could be in your 70s with a 200. Both mean nothing for the most part. But if you were 25 and you had a score of 200, you're really using your insides. What are you doing? Well, I'm just playing soccer all day, every day. I run for 6 hours a day. I just so much. Could you try 3 and we'll test you in 6 months or a year and see if it's a lot of, if you want to do that, that's fine. But these are tests that will give you some type of look. And we see kids 20, 25 years old who have, you know, huge athletic pasts, powerlifting pasts, obesity pasts, and stuff like that. And then they come back and their score is 100 or it's 200. And then you're like, okay, so compared to everyone your age from the data we have, you're in the 1 percentile. Like, and most people have a 0 and you have 100. Most people don't have 100 until they're age 65. So your cardiovascular health, dude, is not looking the greatest. Does that mean you're going to die? Does that mean you're going to have a heart attack? Does that mean everything's over and we need to stop everything immediately? No, it just means that you personally, whatever you've been doing or whatever you're up to, is taxing your heart. And you now know that. So you can make choices accordingly. Are you going to go from mostly beef to chicken and then test yourself in 3 years and see if the numbers stalled? But there's so many different things. And what the right answer is, I don't know. I don't know your life and I don't know how you respond and I have no idea. But knowing that and doing that test and then working with a cardiologist if you have to is going to put you in a position to eliminate surprises. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to eliminate surprises. There is nothing worse than waking up and feeling like $1 million and then waking up the next morning and being sick. That would suck. Yep. You know, and like, can you imagine? Like, I try not to, but like, can you, like, how wonderful do you feel being muscular and looking good? And I love it. I love it, dude. I don't want to sit in a hospital bed on dialysis. Like, I don't want to I don't want to put a stent in my heart. Now, could this stuff happen to me? Yeah, I could. Yeah. But, you know, there's no fireman on earth who wants to burn and die saving someone's life. There's no cop on earth who wants to get shot in the face at a traffic stop. There's no coal miner on earth that wants to go underground and get black lung. There's no race car driver in the world that wants to hit the wall and die. But there's no bodybuilder on earth that wants to die of a heart attack. There's no bodybuilder on earth that wants to be on dialysis. There's no bodybuilder on earth that wants to have his organs so messed up from his lifestyle that he loved so much. Is it a risk? Yes. Could it happen? Yes. But okay, so what do? We wear fire suits. We have bulletproof vests. We have protocols walking up to cars. You know, we don't let you get in a NASCAR on day one. You got to start in the buggies. You got to work your way up. Like, these are all things that we know over the years because we've watched other people get hurt. We've watched other people have successful careers. And then over the years, we've tried to walk down the middle. So we understand that this stuff is very real, and you need to understand that it's very real for you. And could you have the Russian roulette pull of the draw where you get fucked and die? Maybe. Does that mean that you have to go into it big at all costs, big or die, whatever it takes, no matter what it takes? Yeah, but that doesn't mean making the decision to trade everything we already know to try to get there a little faster. Because one, you won't get there faster. Even if you did get there faster, you're going to get hit by a big wall of health or some type of negative thing, and then you're going to move 5 steps backwards. Yeah. And then all of that information is available and all those tests are there. So why not just work with it? You know, like, it doesn't have to be all or nothing. It can be all and it didn't work. It doesn't mean you have to, like, oh, well, the food didn't work for me and the train didn't work for me, so I'm just going to take 6 grams and just see what happens. No, man, you did it all. You went for it. Even if you did like a mild cycle or something like that, you did it all. Like we talked about earlier, like if you don't respond, you don't respond. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, like if you're in your notebook and you're like, man, I trained like this, I ate like this, I did all this, I took this, and it's been a year, it's been 2 years. Like, if it's not there for you, you know, it's just not there for you. And then all the testing in the world too, like you need to do that stuff and look at that stuff, but it all comes back to the delusion of like, is this really for me or not? And how far do I feel comfortable pushing myself or not? Right. Yeah, whatever. Right. Yeah. I get in a loop and I get scattered about this stuff because there is a lot of information, and I do have. I want the guys to not get. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. It doesn't. Give it all, but not with enough. Like it doesn't. Like there doesn't have to be the all. You can give it all in so many places.
Yeah, exactly. You could give it your all in being the best you can, but you can also give it your all in being conscious of your lifespan at the same time. That's giving your all. Dude, you can like totally commit yourself to this all the way. And it doesn't mean that if you don't take 30 IUs of growth and 5 grams of gear, you're a fucking loser, or you don't belong, or you don't count. Or that there was so much left on the table that like now you're gonna die wishing you gave it more. No, you really gave it your all, dude. Mm-hmm. When we get to gear, it's just like everything else. Like if you're training hard and you respond from training hard, cool, like great. If you responded a little bit, fine. It's the same with gear. Like if we give you some gear
If you do a 500 mg cycle and you respond well, yeah, maybe we'll bump it up. Maybe we'll like push it more and more and more. But like if you jump into the lifestyle and you get all your ducks in a row and then you start experimenting with gear and you don't have the response you're looking for, everyone's going to have a response. Everyone's going to have a response. But if you don't have the response you're looking for, or the response you expected, okay, that's fine. Just you don't have to quadruple that one. Like it's not there for you. Like 3 grams is not going to be. If you weren't making things happen on 500, 3 grams is not going to get you there. You would have seen the results up to the 5. And then you would be like, damn, I look freaking great. And this is working very well. And I just had this show and did that and do this. Now I'm going to try 7 or now I'm going to try 9. But like if you did 5 and like you're still losing and you're not growing and you're not eating your food and you're with your disciplines, that's a really good wake up call. You know what I mean? Like you're hopping into a race car, and why? I don't know. It's hard for me to describe, and it's hard for me to get the message across. But so much of this comes back to, if it's not working, it's not all. It's not so much in one direction you can't force this. Yeah. Is that a good way to say this? To really just summarize this?
I think so, but I think with consideration for the people that just cannot pull back from wanting to do it so hard, my piece is, if you're going to go give it your all, be ready to have and also have enough money and have enough time to go the extra mile and give it your all, with all the extra testing, with all the extra blood work.
Absolutely.
With like, you got echocardiograms, you got the CAC, you got the fucking ancillary, whatever it's called. I don't remember, but options. You have so many different tests that you can do. If you're gonna run the full mile and you're gonna fucking double or even triple your dose, and you care about living, then fucking do all those tests too. And that's expensive, but you fucking better at least do them. And that's what a lot of these big bodybuilders, these pro Olympian competitors are doing. They're like doing some damn regular testing with some fucking doctors regularly.
Absolutely. And it's because it's working. They're having careers. They're having success. And you have to go down the road to figure out if you can go down it. You have to. Like, there's no other way about it. Like, if you're going to bodybuild, like, you're going to have to eat the food. You're going to have to train. You're going to have to do all that jazz. If you want to try to push it to that level, you're going to have to try something. But if you're not, like, and then too, so you're going to have to do it. There's no option about that. But if you give it a fighting chance, do all your testing the entire time. Give it a year, give it 2 years, give it 3 years, give it 4 years, give it 5 freaking years of all. And like you said, do all of your testing. But at the end of the 5 years, evaluate yourself and say, where am I? Am I literally on the road right now to that? You know when you're almost there. You know, like when you're on stage and you're your first call out every time and you're winning every time and it's working. Like, if you're not winning, it's because the other guy looked freaking nuts too, and you both were freaking nuts at the same time. If you have all of that, and you honestly have all of that, then that's more than enough encouragement and reason to keep going. And then if your blood work looks great, absolutely keep going. And if you want to keep pushing boundaries, keep pushing boundaries. But there has to be some level of understanding that, like, 5 or 10 years of dramatic steroid abuse is not just going to magically you're not just going to get a phone call one day, you know what I mean, that says like, oh, it's been 8 years and you've been trying really hard and we've all acknowledged that, and now we just want to give you $1 million. It's paid off. It probably isn't going to happen.
I forgot to say, the test I was thinking about was an angiogram. Oh, okay. And then the test that I do recommend, though, Vigorous Steve actually told me about this, is if you're looking to get like a universal scan, like one of the best MRIs basically is called the Pronuvo scan. Oh. So it's like obviously going to be more expensive than any of the other scans. I think it's like I might be totally wrong about this, but I think it's like upwards of like $2-3 grand or something. But but it's like it's a fucking good ass scan. Give you a lot of info. So,
and we're also not, for reference, we're not talking about recreational cycles. I have two differences in my head.
Yeah,
I don't consider all steroid use steroid abuse. So what I'm talking to you is 2-3 grams, 10 IUs growth, like bodybuilding, what it takes. You know what I mean?
Do you still think? I feel like a gram and upwards would still be good reason to get some consistent testing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Recreational's like 500 under. Yeah.
Gotcha.
If you were like 500, you would be like right on the borderline of me being like, what are you doing? you going for something? Like you testing the waters. You're taking that walk. You're seeing how you respond, huh? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You're going for something. Yeah, a little bit. Seeing what happens. And then if that dude put on 15 pounds, I would be like, you might want to consider like another thing and maybe a contest and see what happens next. And then if you win that show, I'd be like, hey, you having fun? You feeling good? You do some testing, everything look good, man. You might have some options available to you and stuff like that. So
yeah.
But yeah, anything over 500 is a cycle. Like cycle all the way cycle. But when you're recreational bodybuilding, you know, and you're keeping things under a gram and you're like around 500 or so, like you're like doubling TRT. You're not playing in a really deep water. And because of that though, you also understand that you are not giving it literally every option. You know, it's not like big at all costs. No, you're like using steroids as a tool.
Yeah.
You know, just like you use training, just like you use your nutrition. You know, like there's no reason for me to eat 800 grams of protein, but I should probably eat 3. Yep. You know, it's the same with the gear. Like you're having a good time. Yep. You're like, I'm taking 400 tests. You know, I'm taking 10 milligrams of Anwars. I'm going to do that for 10 weeks. I'm going to I'm going to do my show. I'm going to look great. I love the feeling. The pictures are fun. I'm having a blast. I go to work on Monday. I have a family. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, good for you, dude. Good for you. Good for you. And that's not who we're trying to deter.
Yeah.
We're trying to deter the guy in the basement by himself with no one watching, with nothing going for himself. And he's putting all of his bucks into one barrel, shooting every day, taking everything, killing himself with nothing in return, and not even loving the sport anymore because he's just so pinned out and he's getting nothing back out of it. That is a true reality for so many guys. I have personally known over 24 guys to die from steroids that no one will ever know their name because they always got 10th.
Damn.
Yeah, no one will ever know. Working
Holy
security
shit.
in strip clubs, working at like 45 years old, opening the door for a bunch of 21-year-olds going to the club, getting thrown up on, getting in fights, getting spit on, but going home every night, shooting their growth, shooting their gear, living in a small box, 30 years old, 40 years old, 50 years old, heart attacks, gone. And that's fine. If you want to do anything that makes you happy, absolutely go for it. But the guys need to understand realistically and without delusion that you are going into a sport full of grown men with money, with genetics, with coaching, with sponsors behind them. You might as well show up for the open NFL tryouts, dude. There has to be some level of logical, non-delusional thinking when you start using substances that are going to damage your organs for a goal that might not exist. And that's mega dosages. That's mega growth and stuff like that. That's what we're talking about here. If you're a recreational guy, be a recreational guy. Have a great time. You want to do a little cycle and put some muscles on your butt? Yeah. My girl got a boob job. Yeah. What's wrong with some biceps? Yeah. But if you're like, I'm going to bank my future, my retirement, my income, like my whole livelihood on this entire thing, and you give it a good 5 years, for sure, a good 5 years, and you can look back at your notebook and be like, I ate all my food. I did all my training. I took dosages that would have yielded results that others have yielded with the same protocols and such, and you just don't have it, or it's not working, or your blood work isn't cooperating with you. You know, heaven forbid it's not working physically, like you're not getting the results you want, and then your blood work is also not cooperating. Oh my God. That's when guys need to consider you're not kicked out of bodybuilding. You're not going to not be one of us. You're still fucking one of us. We're still friends. You're still in the community. Dude, you don't need to be 15 pounds heavier or trying so hard to have an extra 15 pounds. It's going to kill you and remove you from our friend circle. It's fine, dude. I'm not Michael fucking Jordan. I know that. I'm not Donovan McNabb. Like, I know it's fine. That's why I tried to be, dude. And it's not like, well, that's a bad attitude. That's a quitter's attitude. No, I'm an adult. I'm not 15. I'm not 20. I didn't start yesterday. Like when I was 15, it doesn't matter. If I started this when I was 30 years old, like right now, if I started right now and it was brand new to me, yeah, dude, go for it. Give it the 5 years. Train, eat, use stuff if you want to. Do all your testing. Just do it all. But if you get to the point where an accumulative amount of time has gone by, that's a respectable amount of time where your peers Not all your peers, because we see it. How many people actually rise? 1%? Fine. That's what it's like. It's just like football, just like basketball, just like any sport. Only 1% rise. That's fine. So it doesn't mean that at the end of that 5 years, like you have to quit or you have to give up. It just means that maybe you should consider going back to recreational dosages and having fun in the gym. Like catching pumps and fucking real good. You know, you're on test, you're having a great time. Like you look great. Walking out, you're bigger than 99.9% of people, but you have so much worth on beating 1 fraction of a percent that you place all of your mental health into, and you place all of your self-worth into it. And then you place everything, you put everything on risk for it. And like, we're not saying we're not proud of you or that it's not like admirable or that you shouldn't try. You did try. We're just saying like, listen, like reel it back in from the health perspective. Don't be 240, be 220 and hang out with us for the next 30 years. There's so many jobs you can have in the community, in the fitness industry. There's so many things. You could even still be an athlete.
Now that social media exists, you don't have to be Mr. Olympia. You just don't.
Dude, I know so many guys who look like us. They have great physiques and they work behind the scenes at like Gorilla and Helix and stuff like that. And they make a tremendous amount of money, not even being athletes, just working in the industry, but they're still everywhere. Everyone knows who they are. They look fantastic. They have tons of fun.
Yeah.
They don't have to stress out about like, if I don't win this show, my whole life is going to fail. And then that's a fine, we should all do that. If that's what you have that drive for, you should all do that. We should all do that. But there is that.
Right. That there's actually a big, that's a personal conundrum that I've been actually sitting on for some time now, where I realized that I could actually be making a lot more money and having like a better quality of life if I quit bodybuilding competitions and just focused on purely starting up my business and going strong with my podcast and social media. And I really, really realized that. So that's like the conundrum where I'm here currently focusing on my first bulk and my first pro show. And I'm like looking at my body and I'm like, how far can I really take this? Like, am I responding how I feel like I should be responding? Because if not, I realize this is really at a detriment to me right now.
That's true. I will change to the other side of the coin here and say you turned pro. That's a fantastic way to look at the cards in front of you, and with a non-delusional, there's potential now. So that's a personal decision. I can understand that. But you have incredible feedback from unbiased sources that say you have a lot more potential if you want to try and see what you can now gather. And that's a really, and so many guys kill themselves to get into that position. And that is something to consider, and I can totally dig that. And then maybe too, like maybe as a pro, maybe you don't have, maybe after 5 years, you're like, well, I don't need to be, I am a pro. I compete as a pro. I have a great career. I don't need to like do what I think to get first. You know what I mean? If you honestly think that dosages are going to make you first, if you honestly thought that, then maybe you should try it once. And I'm not saying advice to anybody, you know what I mean? But you'll get over that real fast if it didn't work, right? So, and that's where you have to walk the road a little bit to figure stuff out. But it is really that substantial. Like if somebody who has the resources, and I mean that like genetically, and they're able to smash that food, and you give them that much stuff, there is no mistaking what happens. It doesn't happen for everybody. It just does not. It just does not. So that's something to consider. Like if you give it a chance, and you do, and your physique, just because you've already blossomed, like you've already risen to the top. Now you're just trying to continue to rise. So if you give it that effort and you give it that mustard and you continue to rise, you continue to rise. If your blood work looks good, that looks great. If it doesn't though, like if you don't continue to rise past level 7 and past level 9 and past level 10, what's wrong with level 9? You know, you just reel it back into what you're comfortable taking, you know, because that's the whole thing we always circle back to, all or nothing. Well, no, it doesn't have to be nothing. You can have a lovely, beautiful, financially secure career, you know what I mean, doing everything right up to like mega dosages and 6-year-long cycles and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be all, and it doesn't have to be nothing. It can be a lot of max effort in a lot of places and some discrepancy in others. Well, that's fine. You know, the cards always land where they're going to fall. You know, if you have a full flush, you're going to win. But if you don't, you know, then you just can't folding.
Yeah. That's a perspective, honestly, that I really, really, really appreciate about you, especially knowing like your story, man, that like you were that guy back where you just ate fucking tons of sugar and drank fucking gallons of whole milk and just did the fucking shebang. And now you're like very, very conscious about this. And dude, I think you explain it in the best way possible.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, really. What all did you eat and how long were you doing all the crazy dieting for?
Oh, 17 to about 22, 24, like in that range. Yeah. So it was my first 6 years.
Damn.
Yeah. My first 6 years, my first 5 or 6 small shows. Cause I was in NABA first doing natty competitions, and then my first NPC show. And then when I came back, and did NPC, then enhanced in 2012 and won that show, I continued with the mega bulk until I was like into my mid 20s. And that was when I stopped progressing. I hit that plateau hard as fuck. And I stayed at that wall for what felt like a year and a half.
Damn.
I did not progress.
And this is where you decided stop everything for a while.
Stop everything. So I'm benching 400 pounds. I'm squatting 500. I'm hack squatting 8 plates on each. So I got videos, receipts of everything. And that didn't change. That entire duration, like whatever it was, a year, 18 months.
Yeah, you just maintained all that.
I'm just big ass workouts and, big strong and a big arm, 21 inch arm, whatever it was, like cool. But like nothing changed. It was like me, this is me now. And so that's when I started to fall into the depression about it. And I started to have those realizations, and I started to have those real talks with myself. And I was like, what am I doing? I love bodybuilding. It's not all or nothing for me. You know what I mean? So I'm going to continue to go to the gym and stuff like that. But if I'm not progressing and I'm not improving the way I want to, like there's no reason for me to take mega dosages of steroids and stuff like that.
Plus the stopping is what like amazes me, man. Cause I've had some coaches that just have had me on just running stuff straight. And maybe I think they were just maybe busy and have enough time to like consciously be like, oh yeah, this client has been running it for too long. But I've also seen other coaches and other respectable, very, very, very high performing athletes that have done the whole, like you stop taking for a long period of time and then you jump back on.
Or not even a long time.
Or at least just switching.
Or stop or lowering. So what I noticed was I was training as hard as I could. I was eating as much as I could. I was sleeping adequately. I wasn't doing drugs. Like I was trying to just bodybuild as honestly and perfectly as possible. And then I was taking a good amount of stuff. And I just hit a plateau. Huge guy. Everybody around me was like, wow, look at you. I want to be like you. I'm like, great. But I'm trying to improve myself. And it's not working. And that's where I started to have those conversations. I was like, you know what? I'm going to stop. And then when I pulled off, and I cycled off, tapered down, cycled off, PCT, all that jazz. A few months went by, 6 months went by, 9 months went by. I'm having great workouts again. Everything's fine. My test is back to normal. I'm doing good. Instead of being 260, 250, I'm like 225, 235, still looking fantastic, shredded out. All my social media posts, trend. And that's when I was like, you know what? I am a bodybuilder. And I'm having a lot of fun. So let's go back into this, but let's go back at it from a different perspective. Let's just try to like, how much can I get away with? Like little wise, like how little can I just get away with? Like how much can I just compliment this great physique? And like, sure, of course people would have picked it apart and be like, oh, well, so-and-so, Kyle was bigger than you. Yeah, Kyle was, okay, fine. But I was comfortable and happy and loved the way they look, and I was looking good. So I was like, so I'll just improve on this, right? Like we'll just start bringing back in the gear. We'll start bringing back in like more and more food, and we'll just keep an eye on everything. And what I learned for myself is there is a moment when I can feel myself stop responding.
Yeah.
And I can feel it, dude. Like, and this is all personal. This is intuition and all that stuff. But I've
felt it too.
And I've had good feedback from other sources of guys who are very successful with this. But there's very good sources in all directions. So it's personal. For me, personally, because that's the best I can give you. It seems to me that no matter what compound I take, whether it's a long Easter or a slow Easter, no matter the milligrams, I respond. I feel that motherfucker fast. It's in me. I feel good. I start having my pumps are better. My dick is better. Everything starts coming to life, and I feel it working. I also see it working. I start getting bigger. I get better lines, broader, whatever it might be. It works. There is a time when it stops. And I feel that too. It's normally 3 weeks to about 7. depending on the compound and depending on because some of those esters take a little while to really ramp up. And then so like sometimes like a test E or something like that, yeah, like I really won't be, I'll feel it immediately, dude. Like within my first pin, like I normally wake up the next morning like rock fucking hard. I know like my blood isn't like full of testosterone, my levels are not peaked at all, but the moment you inject, your body starts to grab it, starts to go in there. So even though it's little. And I've noticed that after 3 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it might be, 8 weeks, just depends. I just go off of that feel. Now, of course, with orals and stuff, we're not taking orals for 2 months. I'm not doing that. You know, you take oils for 3 weeks, maybe 5 at max. But for the oils and for the heavier compounds and for those higher dosages of when you do want to experiment and see, will I respond better off of a gram than 750? Will I? Let's find the fuck out. I have to. There's no other way to find out. Once you find out, you better be honest with the answer. Some people don't. But if so, you take what you take, you feel what you feel. When I start to feel that taper off or go away, and I'm not like quick with the draw, right? I just take it like very logically. When I do, I come off. And I don't normally come off. If it's a compound, not test. If it's a compound, I might remove that compound. I might put in a different compound, one that will complement the reverse, right? So whatever it might be, and we can get into a whole list. You know, we got the 3 jams, and we can pick it. Testosterone, though, so I'll even flip that one. That's normally my first go-to. My first go-to is when I stop responding or feeling the response, I give it like a week or two, really be sure that I think I've plateaued. Then I'll switch that compound or I'll remove that compound and bring the test down to like a normal level, like an HRT level, even like 200. That is not going to change the gains at all. I'm not going to get smaller. I'm not going to lose anything. But what happens is over the next 3 weeks or 5 weeks, and that's all it takes. It does not take that long. It takes literally like 20, 40 days. You don't lose gains because it's so short. But your receptors, you always have these loops, these feedback loops, and they can be positive or they can be negative. And your testosterone levels and your saturation levels can start affecting the loop. So eventually, you're just a guy with 1,000 mgs of test in you, and that's just you, and you're not being stimulated anymore because you were stimulated. All your responses happened, and now that's just how much test you have, and you are what you are. So I've learned for myself that when I bring the test back down to like 2, and I chill for like 3 weeks and then bring it right back to where it was, it is like all of my shit was wiped clean. Like everything, like all of my receptors were just wiped.
Even just for 2 weeks.
Oh my God, just, and it's like 2 to 3 weeks, right? Because if you do it too short, your levels won't actually drop. Your levels need to drop and they need to be low.
Right.
But you still need tests. You don't want to lose your gains.
Yes.
And you're not going to lose your gains. It's a drop in a bucket, especially when you're running a gram or whatever it might be for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, or if you're feeling it for 8 weeks, why would you come off if you're feeling it? If you're the scale's going up and you're feeling good and your dick's great and the workouts are awesome and you're just having a blast, why would you change? Your results are what you're after. You are walking down the road perfectly. So it's only when it stops and when you feel it stop. And I might even correlate this with life. If I'm in a position now where I've been on for like 7 weeks or 9 weeks or whatever it is, and now I'm in a position where I know I'm not going to eat as well for 2 weeks or whatever, I will just go along with that and be like, this is going to be that receptor break. We see this all the time with alcohol. We see it with ganja. You take what's it called, receptor breaks or whatever, tolerance breaks they call them. Tolerance breaks. And people can argue with me, and I would love to see the research because I'm very interested in this. This is all from me over the last 10 years of my own cycles and being through all of these. I've tried to be on shit. I've stayed on cycles for 1.5 years. I've done that. I've done high dosages for 1.5 years. So for me, 6 weeks, 9 weeks, whenever I feel it, I drop it down, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. As soon as I bring it right back up, dude. Like I'll go from like 250. Okay, I'll come off 3 weeks, 243. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because we just like lose some glycogen, lose some fluid. No one can tell. No one's like sending me messages like, have you lost 10 pounds? Have you lost 7 pounds? No, I'm just not as juicy, like literally with like fluids and carbohydrates and stuff like that. But the muscle tissue, the tissue itself is still there. And then I get back on, 253, 254, 255.
Right.
All right, here we go again.
Right.
Perfect. This is what I needed.
So I have a theory. My theory is like there's some drugs that you take consistently, like say you take a Zetamib, and it's always going to consistently decrease your cholesterol levels.
Okay.
But there's also a lot of drugs where, in fact, most drugs, you take it and you start feeling the positive side effects that you're looking for after a certain period of time. You build a tolerance to literally so many drugs, right?
Yeah.
So my belief is that there is maybe a certain level of protein synthesis that probably continues as you're taking like a higher level of test, as long as you're taking it. Same reason, like same thing as like with TRT. But I do also believe that there are some effects of steroids that do contribute to your overall hypertrophy that are likely potentially plateau and go down after some time.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like no one ever has it. You're never going to have it figured out in one cycle.
Yeah.
It takes like 5 years of like learning your body and figuring out like how you feel with everything. It really is like a full blown commitment. But that's just how I try to do everything by. Not everything. I should really change that. I try to have a nice combination of feel and then like blood work and actual results and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's a fun game.
It's awful. Fun. The best thing ever, the very best thing that ever could have happened was steroids were never invented. Oh my God, steroids are the worst thing ever. They're awful. I hate them so much.
We hate them so much.
I hate them so much. They work, so I'll take them. Yo, if we're racing cars and you're gonna have a supercharger, well, fuck that shit. I want one too. We're racing, dude. We're racing. I want a supercharger if you have one. But the thing is, if they never, ever existed at all, we would all be happy as fucking clams benching 180. When a dude hit 210, we would have a celebration. We would watch Mr. Olympia, 17-inch arms, and we would lose our fucking shit with
17-inch arms.
We would be so excited, so happy, so impressed, because we would just have no idea there was another world out there.
Yeah.
Once it exists, though, if it exists, and this is the important part where your logical and delusion comes into this. If it exists and it does help you, you will be a fool not to use it if this is something you want to do competitively. If your goal is to build the best physique and something is going to help you achieve that, and you know it is, and it does, you would be a fool not to use it. What are you doing? Why would you not? Then you don't really want to be here. Now there's considerations with that. Like was 500 mgs to 1,000? Well, 1,000 might kill you. Okay, well 500 works. I know it works. And we have to have some type of balance and stuff like that. But if you're just going to exit out completely, well, then you might not be the champion. Somebody else might be who included it. And that's something to consider as well.
What was that Sour Patch Kids story you told me before the podcast?
It was like 2015. 2015, I was broke as hell. Had no money. I was living in Vegas, I think. Yeah, 2015, 2016. Living in Vegas, no money at all. I had a sponsor for proteins, right? I was sponsored by Sand Nutrition at the time. So I had I think my allowance was like $1,200 a month is what they would send me. And when you're a smaller athlete, you know, that's how it goes. You get like allowances and gift cards and stuff like that. They don't just send you whatever you want yet. So I got like $1,000 a month. So I always had protein. So I could afford that protein and water. And then I bought a big bag of Sour Patch Kids because they were on sale, I think, for $4.99 for like a 3-pound bag. So I bought a couple bags of those. And then I had my peanut butter and I had my fiber powder. And to save money, every meal, I would have a protein shake, and then I would count out my Sour Patch Kids. Sometimes I could have like 10. I think that was like 15 grams of carbs. I think it was like if I'm not mistaken, it was 2 Sour Patch Kids is 3 grams of carbs, is it?
This is the small bites.
Oh, yeah. See, maybe I could have had more.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but so that's what it was. It was like 2 Sour Patch Kids was 3 grams of carbs. And I was doing like 20 to 30 grams of carbs at a time. So like I was having a protein shake, like 9 or 10 little Sour Patch Kids.
This is for prep.
And this is prep, the whole prep, the whole
crazy.
prep. And then a tablespoon of peanut butter or like half an avocado for my fat source. And like sometimes, like once or twice a day, I would try to have like a chicken meal or like a beef meal. But like, I was going to Walmart or the Super Fresh and I was buying like an 8-ounce steak and I was like, okay, I'm going to eat this tomorrow, and 5 protein shakes, a whole bunch of cookies.
That's insanity.
No money. I had no money. So broke.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was just like scounging everything, and they put those on clearance. And I was like, man, there's like 5,600 grams of carbs in here for $3. Like, this is amazing. This is amazing.
All right, do you want to go over the Q&A real quick?
Yeah, okay.
Because we're actually way over time, but it's chill.
Okay, yeah. We edit it all together. Only the best parts.
No, I just do the podcast. I do the podcast raw, parts. So everything has to be there. Everything you said that was a mistake is going to be there.
Oh, there'll be some.
Ace asks, craziest cycle you've ever taken?
Oh, this craziest one I ever tried was when I gave it like a lot of mustard, and that was probably around, if I had to guess, probably about 200 tests a day, and then about 100 mgs of mastron a day.
Damn, wait.
So that's 7. So that's, if we did that, so if that's 300 mgs a day total, that's 2,100 milligrams.
Damn shit.
Yeah, that was me.
100 tests.
That was me swinging for the fences, and that was my test. And I can tell you that the difference between 1 gram to 2 grams for me is nothing.
Wow.
Yep, and I learned that for myself.
Wow. Was this before or after you took all that time off, or you took?
This was before.
This was before. Okay.
This was before, and that's just one of the things that led to the depression, because I was like, in the back of my pocket, mega dosages. In the back of my pocket, mega dosages. and then I pulled out my wallet and pulled out mega dosages, and a year went by. I said, what happened? All the forums, every comment section, everybody guaranteed me with all of their bro freaking no that I was going to be, I would gain 20 more pounds. I would gain 40 more pounds. I gained 0 more pounds.
Damn.
Yeah, the difference between so let's say 1,200, right? Let's say it's the difference between 1,200 and 2,400, whole gram. No difference for me. Wow. As far as response goes. I need to take stuff to respond at that level. Like I can be natty and be 200, 220 pounds all day. I could probably even maintain a 230 if I'd had all my principles perfect. But if I want to be 260, I need to use stuff. I need to be up around 700, give or take. I could be a little less. I won't be as hard. I can get up around 1 gram. I'll be hard. But once I get over that, no, there is no benefit for me. So obviously 750 is better than 500 for me. 1,200 is better than 750. But once I get over that, it stops. So normally, if I'm getting ready for a contest, let's say we throw in 750 test, 300 of a complementary, you know what I mean? It might be Masteron, it might be EQ, something like that. EQ, sometimes guys go higher. They go up to 5 or whatever. But these are heavy cycles, but not what I consider lethal. They're cycles you should not be on for long. They are competition grade cycles, but they're not to the level that I think are casket cycles. But I also think they are much above a recreational cycle. So for me, a competition cycle would be more 750 or so of test, okay? 300 maybe of a complementary, maybe Masteron for the week. And then depending on the time, if you're going to throw in 50 milligrams of Anwars last 2 weeks or something like that, you know what I mean? That's about 300, give or take for the week, right? 50, 100, 200. So if you did that, now we're up around 13, 1400. Is your cycle 9 weeks of 1,400? No. Well, it was probably 6 weeks around 900 to 1,000, give or take, because you got that 7 and that 9. But then that last 2 weeks or so, when you pulled in, maybe you pulled in Winstrol, to the little best of it. And then sometimes guys even drop stuff though. Maybe you drop the mass, maybe you drop the test the last 2 weeks or the last 3 weeks, because some guys like to drop the orals drop the oils and then bring in the orals. So it just depends. But for me personally, once I get up around that gram mark, and that's why there might be some nuances of 200 mgs, up or down, because of orals or nonsense like that. But once I get around that gram point, that seems to be the magic for me. 15 is normally nothing on it. So I tried that stuff. I tried the heavy dosages. I tried them for extended periods of time. I did not have the results I was looking for. I do have results, but the same as if. So for me, I have to take a decent amount. Let's say I'm around 1 gram, give or take. Okay. And then it's all down to the food for me. If I can eat, it depends. Every extra pound of protein I can eat when I am on that type of dosage is astronomical forward. It doesn't matter. So how's a good way to wrap this up? If I take 1 gram or 2 grams, it will not matter. I will grow at the same rate if I'm eating like I'm supposed to.
Gotcha.
Absolutely. It's something I learned for myself.
Wow. Okay. That's a really cool thing to hear. That is fucking super sick to hear that. A personal account especially, I think that'll be eye-opening. at least for quite a few people that are in the space.
Yeah, I did a documentary on. I'm not going to say any names, who was with and what it was for, but I did a documentary and they cut out my whole segment because it was a bunch of steroid talk and high dosage talk and the results from high dosage talk, but everybody who was in the interviews didn't take steroids like that. So I came out and I was the only dude like 260, and I was like, I've seen no difference between 1 gram to 2 grams. Like if I need to take a gram, there's a difference between 500 to a gram. But once I get to around that gram mark, anything over that, it really just like, if I'm eating my 5 meals a day, okay, and I'm having success at a gram, if I went to 2 grams and I missed one of those meals, I would wake up lighter still. Like it doesn't what's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerate things like I thought it would maybe, or what I was under the impression it was going to do when I was reading talk forums of like, this guy's on this much stuff. And maybe he is, but it works for him.
Right.
If I took 2 grams, I'm not the size of Jay Cutler. I'm not the size of Ronnie Coleman. I wanted to be. I took a lot of steroids to try to be the size of Ronnie Coleman, along with eating 8,000 plus calories every day for an extended period of time, equaling years, almost a decade. And I didn't respond like he did. So does that mean he's taking more? I don't know. Does it mean he's taking less? I don't know. But I just know whatever he's doing, he's responding, and he ran with it. And if I could, I would have too. But that was one of the factors that like I didn't respond by doubling that one. So I just didn't. And then maybe that's just my genetic limit. Maybe I don't have the receptors to absorb 1,500 mgs, and maybe you do. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah. Because there are different responses from different people. And I know I have at least enough receptors to fill up more with 1,000 than 500. But I don't know. I don't know. Is that my genetics, or maybe it was the food? You know, maybe I was supposed to eat 600 grams of protein a day. I've never done that. The most I've eaten is about 400, 450 on regular, but I've heard accounts of Ronnie eating 500, 600. I've heard Phil say 500, 600. So everything.
Did you increase your calories when you increased the gear, or just a
little? Oh yeah, 8, 7, 10,000 calories. But my protein, I've never taken my protein above 400.
I mean, 400 is a lot. Dude.
That's what I thought.
That's a fuck ton.
And that's what I mean. And that's why we're just trying to play devil's advocate, right? Like we're just having an open forum conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm not a super duper expert. Like I'm not over here with all the answers ever. I'm in such a position just like you, just like everybody else. The only difference is I've been like walking down the road maybe a little bit longer than somebody else. And so I've been able to absorb some more stuff. But some of that absorption has just led to more questions. You know.
There's because there's so many variables, bro. So many.
So and that's why like you have to be able to look at it as a whole logically. Like, what are you doing? Are you having lots of fun, or are you making shit tons of money and making black and white photos to be a legend? Both are fine. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like you could just like try to do the one and it didn't quite work. So you just like fall back into the recreational again. And that's fine. Like it's all fine. And we could sit here with hindsight and pick apart so many places where like, could we put more effort there? Like, did I use the wrong exercise? Like, could I have eaten, should I try like more red meat? You know, and but I'll drive you nuts. I'll drive you nuts, dude.
Vinny asks, why does he like Legos so much? I love Legos, so it's always cool to know.
So when I was young, I don't know why I love them so much. They've always been in my life. Like ever since I can remember, my mom and my dad have gotten me Lego, but they've always gotten me like the little tiny sets. Like I'd have like a little car. And then over time I had an accumulation from like yard sales and those sets and stuff. But I've always had them. They've always been small. So once I was an adult and then I started to have more success, I immediately just ran through the Lego aisle and I was like, the big one, buying the big one. I've never had the big one. You know what I mean? So, and then it just kind of went from there where almost like, I don't want to say it's like buying my childhood, but it's almost like, it's almost like something like, it's like, like some guys get rich and they're like, I want to buy a yacht. Well, I'm not rich, but like I got to the point where I started to make money off of my career and have and stuff like that. I was like, you know what? I can buy the big Lego set now.
Nice.
My parents could never buy me the big Lego set. And now I've made it to a point in my life where I'm going to buy the big Lego set.
Right.
It might be silly and trivial, but like to me, it's monumental.
Gustavo Rosales asks, I probably didn't say that right. How are your health markers compared to other men your age who've never ran gear? And if I would like to add on top of that, like how have you seen your blood work and your CAC score around the time after you stopped eating like all the crazy candy and all the crazy dieting and taking the gear?
So normally my health looks better than the clients who use recreational drugs and drink.
Wow.
I have never had my liver enzymes be too high. I've had rhabdomyolysis twice. That like my creatinine was crazy. I felt like total shit. I went to the hospital just because I felt like awful, and it was from overtraining. And it took like 2-3 days to get back to normal, but it always came. But that was like an acute injury from me. Your leg days just trying, like, you know what I mean,
bro. It's the leg days, man. I got like some fucking excruciating what is it called? Exertional headaches.
Oh, sure.
Where like I was out for 3 weeks. I couldn't lift a weight for 3 weeks because when I lifted it, then my head would like explode with a migraine.
Did you also notice that like when you had an erection, the same thing happened? When I went through the weightlifter's headache, dude, same thing. I had weeks of just like, it almost got to the point where like any exertion would give me a migraine.
Yeah.
It was awful.
Any exertion.
Awful. Like awful. But so no, it depends. I don't have any markers elevated, but I do have problems with my cholesterol when I'm on cycle. When I'm on cycle, even getting like squeaky clean with my food, my cholesterol just goes in the two wrong directions. Okay. I don't see that from guys who eat clean and have healthy lifestyles and they don't take steroids. Their cholesterol looks so good all the time.
Yeah.
Now, when I'm off of steroids, my cholesterol, it will get like within parameters, but it's still not as squeaky clean as I see like some of the other guys who don't live our lifestyle. And I think that's totally just because I'm eating so much meat and protein and fats and stuff like that.
I see.
Right. That it is just hard because of like the average person's eating 2,000 calories. I'm over here and like eating 6 of just like meat all day. So there is some elevation in my blood. And then we have that talk, is it bad or not? Well, it goes back and forth all the time on if it's actually bad or not. So, but I do see that. I do see my cholesterol get out of whack all the time. Not terribly, but on cycle, not great. When I'm off cycle, okay, nothing to be concerned about. Blood pressure, never. I've never had my blood pressure increase ever that I've seen, and I even tested it at home on my own.
Wow.
Yo.
It's always under 120 over 80?
No, I've had it up at like 124 and stuff before. It's always around
124,
70. Yeah, but right. But it's never.
Good.
I've never seen like 130. I've never seen like 140.
Wow.
So even like while I'm on cycle, like while I'm on Tren and like eating Anadrol and stuff like that, I go there and it's like they're like
Anadrol.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, this is your blood pressure is great. And I'm like, oh, thank you. So I know the standard changed, right? They actually lowered it by like 10 points for what's normal. I think it used to be anything over 130.
It was.
Anything under 130. Now they want it under 120. Okay, so I'm like right in the low 120s. So I was totally fine for the last 15 years of testing. And then in the last 5 years, they changed the standard on me. So now I am right on the technical edge. Yeah. So a technicality got me.
Right, gotcha.
but my blood pressure has been the same. That same like 123, because I've had it lower than that, but the highest I've probably ever seen was like that 123 mark, right around there.
Yeah.
It's been that like pretty much on cycle, off cycle my entire life.
Okay.
Like that's just like my blood pressure.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you taking anything to like help reduce your cholesterol level or like
I take a statin.
Improve? You take a statin?
I take a statin. Yeah. I work with Brett Nolan out of Connecticut, I think Hartfield University or something like that. And he is a lipid specialist, board certified cardiologist. Awesome. He's my man.
Have you seen your lipids improve drastically when you started taking it?
Drastically. Oh, my blood work is almost like a cheat hack. Yeah, because even like not being as consistent with the diet and like going out with the girl and throwing in burgers and stuff like that and still eating at the volume that I eat, the numbers have been like halved. Wow. Nice. Right. Yeah. So that if I could have gone back to my 20s and started working with a cardiologist, I absolutely would have, because his perspective, his perspective on, he like knows what to look for, what to test for, and then he just makes you confident. Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, don't worry, you're good. Everything looks great.
Yeah. And then you're like, everything's great.
Baby. So I have the general practitioner doing all the blood. Yeah. And then I have the cardiologist doing all the heart and the lipids and stuff like that.
Nice. I started taking ezetimibe, I kind of know how long ago, but it immensely helped my total cholesterol levels and my lipids too.
So which one is that?
Ezetimibe is like the one that's like the most like.
Do you inject it?
No, it's just a pill. It's just a little, it's oral, but it's the most benign. The like kind of like how Primo is like the most subtle of all compounds.
Okay.
Ezetimibe is like the most subtle, so it doesn't have any of the side effects of a statin, but it's also like it just like helps improve your cholesterol levels a little bit. There's like some research on it helping potential like your cardiovascular system in the long run, and I think maybe reducing some risk of heart attack, but it's nothing drastic like a statin.
Okay.
So I'm sure at some point, depending on how far I go into the bodybuilding industry, there will be more. I've also had another medication that I've been wanting to get another medication because I regularly check my blood pressure.
Sure.
Yeah. And it's been creeping up, and now it's creeping up in a place where I'm not comfortable with it, and it's in the 130 over like 70. So it's like 130. Sometimes it goes to like 134.
Okay.
And this is like a striking concern to me. So I asked my doctor. We talked about some things. I was wondering if I could take lisinopril because I was advised that by Dr. Mike Israel, but he recommended like telmisartan, losartan, and then he also said I think apredopamine or something. I don't remember what it is, but basically it's like those other two, but it doesn't affect your kidneys like the other two because the other two are kind of diuretics, right?
Okay.
So the one thing that surprised me is my doctor actually said, I actually don't want you to take any of these yet because you are bulking right now and about to get into a competition.
Okay.
And because we don't really want to like affect your kidney function as you're competing and everything. We don't know how that's going to affect you. He doesn't want me to take it until after my show in like say August to October. So
well, what was funny was my general practitioner was not into the statin, and then my cardiologist was like, "Hoppycock, I want you on it immediately." And then he has like 10 different he can choose from. So I don't have any side effects. I haven't dealt with a thing.
See, that's what I'm wondering.
It just fixed my blood.
I understand that my doctor's concerned. He's always concerned about how the drug will cause side effects. He always wants to be more conservative with drug use.
My general practitioner she said the same thing. She's like, people experience this, and this. So it's up to you if you want to take this or not. It's up to you. But and that was like 6 years before I got with my cardiologist. So they were recommending me a statin when I was 25.
Wow.
I was 25, 27 years old, getting the blood work done, and my cholesterol, like eating all that food and being on gear, was out of whack then. And then she was like, to get this in line, a statin is recommended. But, we see guys like you, fitness guys, normally don't like to take them because they complain of like muscle aches and kidney stuff. And I was like, okay. And then like 6-7 years later, whatever it is, like within the last few years, when I started working with Brett, I told him all that stuff. And he was like, that's ridiculous to me. We have like 15 different options. It doesn't have to be one medication. He's like, I got one that you can inject. I forget the name of it. But he was like, we don't see any side effects with it. The only problem is it's hard. Yeah. And he was like, we don't see any side effects with it. And it's the most dramatic, like one of the most dramatic ones for helping bring down the cholesterol. He was like, it's extremely expensive and very hard to get through insurance. So we have to go through 2 of the more regular statins first. So, but I haven't had any, like my blood work hasn't changed, besides in the good way, but I haven't had any issue. I haven't had aches or cramps. My kidneys.
What is it called?
The one I'm on now?
The inject one?
I don't know, but I can find out for you.
Oh, okay.
I can find out because he wants me to be on that one, but he was like, if you respond well now, because we're just
doing regular statins.
We're doing preventative. Everything's preventative.
Yep.
Right. And it's mostly just when I'm on cycle and stuff like that too. Like, because when I'm chilling, I'm not like force feeding and all that stuff. I'm pretty cool. But it's when we're laying down steam, we're working with the doctor.
Okay, cool. Thanks, bro. Man, I want to keep going. I want to go for hours, but we got to cut this off. But anyways, where can everybody find you?
Oh, Ziegler Monster is my everything. Ziegler Monster, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, ZieglerMonster.com. The YouTube channel has a lot of stuff coming. I'm excited about it. Yeah, it's all just Ziegler Monster.
Hell yeah, dude.
Which is my last name.
Fuck yeah, dude. This podcast was awesome, man.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you for this, man.
You're very welcome. I appreciate this. Super comfortable place.
Yeah, no, I mean, I literally know for a fact that I could literally talk to you for hours. Like I talk to you for the rest of the fucking day. But I think the audience will love this one and just as much as I did. So
we'll get you out to Vegas.
What's up?
You can stay with me in Vegas. You come out. We'll hit some workouts.
Yeah, that'd be sick. That'd be sick, bro.
I
love Vegas, man. Vegas was really fun the last time, and I really enjoyed Dragon Slayer too. So definitely have to come back soon. Also, Jay Cutler said that he would be open to coming on the podcast at some point soon whenever he gets an availability. So
Perfect.
I will 100% be sending it up to Vegas at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Whenever he is finally available.
I have a room for you, even. That's how much I can.
Fuck yeah. Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
That's
man.
what we got. We got the spot in Vegas just to market and have fun, dude. So we're in there just bodybuilding.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, anyways, follow Ziegler Monster, David Ziegler, fucking absolute savage. And I love the work that he does and everything that he said on his TikTok, because I think it's going to affect the world in an incredibly beneficial way. And if you guys would like to follow the podcast and support it, you can rate us 5-star on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you find a podcast, or subscribe to the YouTube channel and click the bell button, because that's what helps us. Because once you get notified, and you guys can literally just support the podcast through likes or any way possible, that's how I'm able to get bigger and better guests like Mr. Ziegler today. So love you guys, and see you guys. See you guys next time. Peace. Yeah.